Chapter 2018, How Dare You? Chapter 2018, How Dare You? Su Zimo returned to the main hall of the prince's residence and looked around. Thereafter, his gaze landed on Prince Yuanzhua and Tang Zi, and he frowned slightly. From the looks of it, Tang Zi had already attacked Prince Yuanzhua. This was a little rash and did not match Tang Zi's character. However, he did not know what else had happened. At that moment, Su Zimo was only at the level 1 Earth Essence realm. However, his essence spirit was already at the level 3 Earth Essence realm and could detect Prince Yuanzhua's cultivation. Level 7 Earth Essence realm. The difference was too great. Indeed, Su Zimo had the means to kill above his level. However, he had no chance of winning in a head-on fight with someone 6 levels above him. Even if he released the Pankati Dao fire, it would be useless. Your Highness, what's going on? Su Zimo asked expressionlessly. Prince Yuanzhua was in a great mood and laughed. You came at the right time. Let me reintroduce you. This slut's surname is not Tang, but Feng. Feng? Su Zimo raised his brows slightly and already had a guess. Prince Yuanzhua continued, the same Feng as Feng Cantillon. Su Zimo pretended to be enlightened and asked, so, between her and Feng Cantillon? That slut is Feng Santian's granddaughter. She's hiding beside me with evil intentions and wants to assassinate me. Prince Yuanzhua said smugly. Unfortunately, not long after Feng Cantillon escaped, I found out about her identity. Su Zimo sighed internally and looked at Feng Zi deeply. He had long guessed that there might be a relationship between Feng Zi and the Thunder Emperor. That was the reason why he attacked and helped Feng Zi many times later on. However, he had not expected that Feng Zi was the granddaughter of the Thunder Emperor and was related by blood. Prince Yuanzhua continued, in addition, it was also because of this slut that Feng Cantillon broke free. I see. Su Zimo nodded. When Prince Yuanzhua saw that Su Zimo had returned and was about to obtain the Jade Talisman, he was in a good mood and explained to Su Zimo patiently. At that moment, he could not wait any longer and urged, where's the Jade Talisman? Hurry and hand it to me. All right. Su Zimo agreed without hesitation. He slapped his storage bag and took out the Jade Talisman, walking towards Prince Yuanzhua respectfully. Prince Yuanzhua looked at Su Zimo, who was gradually approaching, and suddenly became wary. Right then, Su Zimo stopped in his tracks as well. With a hesitant expression, he said in a low voice, Your Highness, I've done a meritorious service this time round. Will I get any rewards? What rewards do you want? Prince Yuanzhua asked with a fake smile. Su Zimo lowered his head slightly and said in a seemingly fearful manner, If I may be so bold, Your Highness, please reward me with 10,000 Essence Spirit Stones. Also. Previously, His Highness promised that the person who rendered meritorious services could choose from one of your maidservants. I wonder. When he heard that, Prince Yuanzhua sneered internally and a look of disdain flashed through his eyes. The doubts that had just arisen in his heart vanished without a trace. In his eyes, Su Zimo was a lowlife who had never seen the world. He even asked for 10,000 Essence Spirit Stones right away. What a joke. The value of the Jade Talisman could not be replaced even with 1 million or 10 million Essence Spirit Stones, let alone 10,000. Oh, you fancy one of my maidservants? Prince Yuanzhua chuckled. Su Zimo coughed twice and blushed. I took a liking to one. No problem. After this matter is over, I'll reward you with whoever you fancy. Prince Yuanzhua waved his hand. Thank you, Your Highness. Su Zimo's face was filled with joy as he hurried forward. Arriving before Prince Yuanzhua, he pretended to kneel and held the Jade Talisman with both hands, sending it towards the latter. Prince Yuanzhua reached out for the Jade Talisman excitedly. The moment he was about to touch the Jade Talisman, he suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. Unknowingly, the smile on Su Zimo's face had already vanished. His gaze was like lightning and his expression was cold and murderous. Suddenly, he bounced up from the ground at an extremely fast speed. With a push of his hands, his blood chi burst forth and the sound of a tsunami surged in his body, almost drowning Prince Yuanzhua. Su Zimo's stance was the killing move of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness, Sanguine Ape Fruit Offering. On the surface, he seemed like he was obedient. However, he was filled with killing intent. Prince Yuanzhua did not have time to react and could only raise his arm to block instinctively. Bang! Su Zimo's hands smashed heavily against Prince Yuanzhua's arm. Crack! The sound of bones cracking was extremely jarring. Prince Yuanzhua's arm was split into two by Su Zimo's hands. His broken bones pierced his flesh and were exposed, dripping with blood in a shocking manner. Although Prince Yuanzhua was a grade 7 Earth Immortal, he could not defend against the physique, bloodline and thunder bones of the grade 10 Green Lotus True Body. Ah! Prince Yuanzhua shrieked. It was only now that he realized that Su Zimo had already broken through to the Earth Immortal realm. Su Zimo had just returned and his entire attention was on the Jade Talisman. Naturally, he would not check on Su Zimo's cultivation realm. Furthermore, there was no way he could break through in the Emperor's tomb. That was secondary. What Prince Yuanzhua truly did not expect was that Su Zimo would dare to attack him so decisively without any hesitation. How dare you! Prince Yuanzhua roared and retreated without hesitation, wanting to distance himself from Su Zimo. No matter what, his cultivation realm was 6 realms above Su Zimo. Although his arm was snapped, Earth Immortals could regrow limbs by circulating their divine powers. That was not a serious injury. As long as he distanced himself, he would be far stronger than Su Zimo in terms of immortal arts, divine powers, and secret skills and would definitely be able to suppress the latter. Prince Yuanzhua channeled his movement technique at an extremely fast speed. As he retreated, he prepared to tighten his robes and strangle Feng Zi to death. Swoosh! Right then, golden light and lightning flashed before his eyes. Immediately after, Su Zimo's figure appeared before him. Prince Yuanzhua's pupils constricted slightly. There were 3 pairs of gigantic wings behind Su Zimo. At the top was a pair of gigantic golden wings. Second was a pair of zephyr thunder wings that were surrounded by lightning and flapped wildly. The smallest wings at the bottom were ethereal wings that were formed from heaven and earth essence chi. 3 pairs of wings burst forth at the same time. Even Prince Yuanzhua, a grade 7 Earth Immortal, was caught up by Su Zimo in the blink of an eye. You must have a death wish. Prince Yuanzhua's gaze intensified as his fingers changed. He rapidly conjured hand seals and released an immortal art in front of him. A torrential wave was formed instantly and surged towards Su Zimo with a terrifying might. Su Zimo's figure swayed slightly and suddenly disappeared from Prince Yuanzhua's sight. The next moment, when he appeared, he had already descended behind Prince Yuanzhua. True Dragon 9 Flashes. Chapter 2019, Blind. Chapter 2019, Blind. Arriving behind Prince Yuanzhua, Su Zimo conjured the Great Chaos Essence Palm and slapped the latter on the head. If that attack could hit, even if it could not break Prince Yuanzhua's head, it could penetrate his bones and severely injure his essence spirit. If that attack could hit, even if it could not break Prince Yuanzhua's head, it could penetrate his bones and severely injure his essence spirit. Furthermore, Prince Yuanzhua's physique and bloodline could not compare to the Green Lotus True Body. At that time, Prince Yuanzhua would not be able to escape unscathed if Su Zimo closed in and released a ferocious attack. A divine glint flashed through Prince Yuanzhua's eyes. When he saw Su Zimo disappear before him, his reaction was shockingly fast. He utilized a strange footwork and dodged the range of the Great Chaos Essence Palm in a few steps. Be it in terms of experience or methods, a prince who could lead a region far surpassed cultivators of the same cultivation realm. Even though he had never seen the True Dragon 9 Flashes before, he still dodged Su Zimo's killing move with his mysterious movement technique. Su Zimo's gaze intensified. With a long howl, his figure flashed once more and vanished. The second flash. He must not let Prince Yuanzhua have any breathing room. Once the two of them distanced themselves, Prince Yuanzhua snapped out of his stupor and released various immortal arts, secret skills and divine powers that Su Zimo could not defend against. The difference in their cultivation realms was still too great. Relying on that mysterious footwork, Prince Yuanzhua had just escaped from Su Zimo's great chaos essence palm and was about to retaliate when Su Zimo's figure appeared beside him out of thin air once more. It's not over yet? Prince Yuanzhua had a furious expression and channeled his essence spirit to its limits. With every step he took, his feet sounded and cold sabers burst forth from his feet. That movement technique was King Tianqing's secret skill, the execution steps. Not only was the execution steps unfathomable, as long as one circulated a secret skill, they could condense a cold saber beam with every step and counterattack. It was extremely powerful. Initially, Prince Yuanzhua wanted to fight Su Zimo head-on. However, he had not expected Su Zimo to vanish once more. The third of the true dragon 9 flashes. This time round, Su Zimo circled behind Prince Yuanzhua. At that moment, it was the moment Prince Yuanzhua released his saber. Under normal circumstances, if Prince Yuanzhua relied on the execution steps, Su Zimo might not be able to injure him even if he used the true dragon flash 3 times. However, in his rage, he wanted to retaliate and kill Su Zimo. The moment he released the saber, his movement technique paused for a moment. That pause was almost negligible and had almost no effect. However, in a fight between experts, a single moment was all that mattered. Prince Yuanzhua released his saber while Su Zimo used the true dragon 9 flashes to appear behind him, slapping in reverse towards the former. Prince Yuanzhua had lost the initiative and could no longer dodge the palm strike. He could only try his best to avoid fatal damage. Bang! Su Zimo slapped Prince Yuanzhua heavily on the shoulder. The moment his palm landed, a gray fog surged out of his palm and changed rapidly, as though it was condensing something that entered Prince Yuanzhua's body. Prince Yuanzhua cried out in pain. His shoulder was almost shattered by Su Zimo and he could not control his body as he lunged forward. On the other side, Feng Zi felt the sleeves on her neck loosen slightly. Without hesitation, her spirit consciousness moved and the 2 dark daggers on the ground jumped into her palms. A cold light flashed. Feng Zi crossed her arms and cut off the sleeves of the robe around her neck, escaping. Prince Yuanzhua's expression darkened. The moment Su Zimo attacked him, he wanted to strangle Feng Zi to death. However, Su Zimo continued attacking and did not give him any chance. If he was slightly distracted, he might have been severely injured by Su Zimo earlier on, let alone strangle Feng Zi to death. Prince Yuanzhua could no longer care about Feng Zi. Comparatively, Su Zimo was way too much of a threat to him. As long as Su Zimo was dealt with, Feng Zi would be nothing to fear. Prince Yuanzhua was struck by Su Zimo's palm and fell forward, increasing the distance between them. When he saw Feng Zi escape, he ignored her and channeled his spirit consciousness, prepared to release divine powers and secret skills to kill Su Zimo. On the other side, Su Zimo flapped his 3 pairs of wings. His body shone with a golden light and lightning surrounded him as he charged towards Prince Yuanzhua once more. Roar! Suddenly, Su Zimo opened his mouth and let out a dignified and terrifying roar from the depths of his throat. It contained a supreme will, as though he was looking down at all living beings and wanted to trample the world beneath his feet. Dragon Roar Secret Skill. Prince Yuanzhua's cultivation realm was already at the level 7 Earth Essence realm and this sound domain secret skill could not hurt him. However, at such a close distance, he shuddered when he was struck by Su Zimo's Dragon Roar secret skill and was stunned on the spot. Before his divine powers and secret skills could be formed, they showed signs of dissipating. However, he regained his consciousness before long. His vision was shrouded by an incomparably blinding light and he could not even open his eyes. Poof! The next moment, a beam of light shot into his socket. Visual technique, illumination eye. Ah! Prince Yuanzhua shrieked tragically with a tragic expression. His features were contorted in pain. His left eye was already blinded by the illumination eye and his eyeball was completely shattered. However, no blood flowed out. The blood in his eye socket had long been burned and evaporated by the power of the illumination eye, leaving only charred marks. This was the level 7 Earth Essence realm. If it was any other Earth immortal, the illumination eye would most likely pierce their heads and even kill their essence spirits on the spot. But now, the illumination eye merely blinded one of Prince Yuanzhua's eyes. Die! Prince Yuanzhua roared. While he was severely injured, his remaining eye released a visual technique. An ancient blade shot out from his pupils at an astonishing speed. As though it had broken through the restraints of space, it arrived at Su Zimo's left eye instantly. Su Zimo narrowed his eyes slightly and did not dodge or avoid the Dao visual technique. He attacked once more and slapped Prince Yuanzhua on the chest. Crack! Prince Yuanzhua's sternum was snapped by Su Zimo into multiple parts. A few broken ribs even pierced Prince Yuanzhua's heart, causing his blood qi to drain wildly. However, he grit his teeth and did not seem to care. He merely glared at Su Zimo coldly and said, "You have to pay with your life for blinding one of my eyes." Prince Yuanzhua was a grade 7 Earth immortal. He was confident that Su Zimo would not be able to defend against his visual technique. The ancient saber condensed from the power of the visual technique was enough to pierce Su Zimo's left eye and enter his consciousness, destroying his essence spirit. As Prince Yuanzhua had expected, his visual technique ancient saber had indeed entered Su Zimo's left eye. However, it was as though a clay ox had fallen into the sea and vanished without a trace. In fact, there were no ripples at all. Su Zimo was perfectly fine. Chapter 2020, Lifespan Deterioration. Chapter 2020, Lifespan Deterioration. Initially, Su Zimo's left eye could have released another Dao visual technique, the Nether Glow Eye. However, after coming out of the lone island in the Emperor's tomb, something happened to his left eye. An extremely pure power of darkness lingered in his left eye. The Nether Glow Stone was in the ball of darkness power. However, no matter how Su Zimo probed, there was no result. When his spirit consciousness entered his left eye, it would be devoured and assimilated by the power of darkness and vanish. In other words, his Nether Glow Eye could no longer be released within a short period of time. However, Su Zimo knew very well. The power of darkness in his left eye was extremely terrifying. The scene on the lone island was still fresh in his memories. If not for the Nether Glow Stone, he might have died on the lone island. Therefore, when he sensed Prince Yuanzhua's visual technique piercing towards his left eye, Su Zimo did not choose to dodge. That action was a little risky. However, in reality, he had won the gamble. Prince Yuanzhua's visual technique entered his left eye and was devoured and assimilated by the power of darkness before long. In fact, he did not even feel anything. Good, good, good. When Prince Yuanzhua saw that, he was puzzled as well. However, he reacted quickly and glared at Su Zimo, sneering, "Inferior commoner of the lower worlds, do you think that you can hurt me like this? You're way too naive." Prince Yuanzhua slapped his storage bag and took out a pill, swallowing it in a single mouthful. It was unknown what miraculous medicine that was. In just a few breaths, Prince Yuanzhua's body shone with endless vitality. His severed arm connected rapidly and the bones in his chest gradually recovered. His blind eye was repairing and his shattered heart had already stopped bleeding. He was a prince after all and had way too many treasures on him. As long as Su Zimo could not kill him right away, there would be no more chances. Earth immortals could regrow severed limbs to begin with. Coupled with the medicinal effects of the immortal pill earlier on, Prince Yuanzhua's injuries healed at a visible speed. The difference in cultivation realm between them was too great. It was extremely difficult for Su Zimo to severely injure him and hurt his foundation. Su Zimo merely glared at Prince Yuanzhua coldly with a mocking gaze. The injuries on Prince Yuanzhua's body were indeed healing. However, His sideburns were already slightly white and his face looked old. Right then, Prince Yuanzhua noticed something amiss with his body as well. My lifespan. Prince Yuanzhua's eyes widened in shock. Initially, he was only more than 40,000 years old. For an Earth immortal with a lifespan of 200,000 years, he was considered a young man. But now, he was already more than 160,000 years old and only had less than 40,000 years to live. His age had increased by more than 120,000 years. How could this be? Prince Yuanzhua channeled his essence spirit continuously and released divine powers, wanting to recover his decreased lifespan. However, no matter what methods he released, there were no signs of recovery from the lifespan he lost. What exactly did you do? Prince Yuanzhua glared at Su Zimo as though he wanted to skin him alive. Su Zimo sneered. After his first exchange with Prince Yuanzhua, he realized that even the grade 10 Green Lotus true body could not severely injure the latter. Therefore, for the next two attacks, Su Zimo merely punched Prince Yuanzhua with his palm on the surface. However, in reality, he had condensed the greater divine power, time is like a saber, both times and released it on Prince Yuanzhua. Only, the combat was intense at that time and Prince Yuanzhua was severely injured consecutively. He was also blinded and did not notice the deterioration of his lifespan right away. It was only now that he realized the condition of his body. In a flash, Su Zimo charged towards Prince Yuanzhua once more. As long as Prince Yuanzhua was struck by the time saber, even if he was a grade 7 Earth immortal, he would die after expending his lifespan. Su Zimo circulated his secret skill and 4 balls of flames suddenly appeared around him. Immediately after, the 4 balls of flames gathered and charged towards Prince Yuanzhua. Just as it was about to collide, Su Zimo's spirit consciousness released a spirit consciousness flame that entered the 4-colored flame. Pankati Dao Fire. Phew! The Pankati Dao fire landed on Prince Yuanzhua and burned with raging flames. Suddenly, a terrifying power burst forth from the flames. Shing! Immediately after, a strange voice sounded. Prince Yuanzhua's figure appeared and a raging tide burst forth from his body, suppressing the Pankati Dao fire and gradually extinguishing it. Su Zimo was secretly alarmed. The difference in cultivation realm was so great that even the Pankati Dao fire could not make up for it. Amidst the green smoke, Prince Yuanzhua's expression was dark and his eyes were filled with killing intent. He conjured hand seals with both hands and walked slowly towards Su Zimo. Su Zimo was fearless. With a long howl, he released his innate divine power, the 6-tusked divine strength. The power of his blood chi, body and essence spirit surged. Although his cultivation realm was only at level 1 Earth Essence realm, his essence spirit was at the level 3 Earth Essence realm. Now, with the increase of the 6-tusked divine strength, the power of his essence spirit had increased exponentially and was at the level 4 Earth Essence realm. Even so, he was still 3 realms away from Prince Yuanzhua's essence spirit cultivation. Why? You want to use your essence spirit secret skill? Prince Yuanzhua shook his head with a mocking expression. You're playing with fire. You have a death wish. Before his sentence was finished, Prince Yuanzhua rapidly condensed an essence spirit secret skill and released it, charging towards Su Zimo. On the other side, Su Zimo's essence spirit secret skill was released as well. Furthermore, it was not just one. In a short period of time, Su Zimo condensed 4 essence spirit secret skills. The reverse scale, Gautama Dermic Seal 1, Spirit Vanquishing Whip and Green Lotus Sword were released like raging tides and torrential rain. Prince Yuanzhua was initially filled with confidence. However, his expression changed instantly. His pupils constricted and he wanted to curse. However, he was beaten back by Su Zimo's 4 essence spirit secret skills. In normal essence spirit fights, both parties would release an essence spirit secret skill. He had never seen anyone who could release 4 essence spirit secret skills in one go. What sort of essence spirit could withstand such immense expenditure and burden? His essence spirit realm was indeed 3 levels higher than Su Zimo. However, his lifespan was severely depleted and he was already in his later years. His essence spirit was not as condensed as it was at its peak. Now, after one of his essence spirit's secret skills collided with Su Zimo's for essence spirit's secret skills, the void in the hall trembled violently and it was difficult to determine the victor. Both of them shuddered and hugged their heads with both hands, crying out in pain. Su Zimo was the Green Lotus essence spirit after all and was nourished by the Creation Lotus platform. Although his essence spirit was shaken, his foundation was not injured. However, thin cracks appeared on Prince Yuan's essence spirit. Inferior commoner, ant. Prince Yuanzhua was enraged and roared. Right then, a phantom-like figure appeared behind him. Expressionless, it gripped a sharp blade with both hands and arrived silently. Chapter 2021, So, it was you. Chapter 2021, So, it was you. Feng Zi. She had long escaped but she did not attack immediately. Instead, she waited patiently for an opportunity. Now that Prince Yuan's lifespan was declining and his essence spirit was attacked, this was a rare opportunity. As a top-tier assassin, she would definitely not let it go. The dark daggers crossed and slashed towards Prince Yuan's neck and head. Although the daggers were dark and sharp, they did not shine at all, as though they were hidden in the void. Feng Zi did not even reveal any killing intent. The dark daggers seemed to have fused with Feng Zi and were her arms. At the same time, Su Zimo's essence spirit recovered faster than Prince Yuanzhua with the nourishment of the Creation Lotus platform. He circulated the movement technique that could shrink the ground into inches and arrived before the ladder in a few steps. Su Zimo remained silent and flipped his palm, suppressing the top of Prince Yuanzhua's head. 2 lowlifes, scram. Sensing danger, Prince Yuanzhua could not care less about the tearing pain from his essence spirit. He touched his glabella gently and pulled out a pitch-black scroll. Splash! Prince Yuanzhua unfolded the pitch-black scroll and surrounded himself. That was Prince Yuanzhua's destiny dermic weapon, the hunting ranking. The dark daggers did not manage to land on Prince Yuanzhua. Instead, they were blocked by the hunting ranking. The pitch-black canvas of the hunting ranking trembled slightly and released a tremendous recoil, sending the dark daggers flying and turning into 2 dark lights that entered the iron wall of the hall. The power was way too strong and Feng Zi's palm was torn. With a dull grunt, she was sent flying once more and spat out a mouthful of blood. Su Zimo slapped down and the scarlet names on the hunting ranking suddenly burst forth with blood light. Su Zimo's name was among them. Poof! 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 The blood light was extremely terrifying and powerful. Even though Su Zimo's palm was a grade 10 creation green lotus, it was penetrated by the blood light. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat and his expression changed slightly as he retreated hurriedly. If he was enveloped by the blood light, his green lotus true body would be riddled with holes as well. The bloody hole on Su Zimo's palm emitted an extremely corrosive aura, wanting to continue corroding his entire palm. However, the creation green lotus had a powerful bloodline and shocking regeneration capabilities. Electric arcs even appeared from the wound on its palm to suppress the evil bloodlight of the hunting ranking. With the green lotus true body in thunderbones, the bloodied hole on his palm healed slowly. Fufufu, ha 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 ha. The hunting ranking hovered above Prince Yuanzhua's head. First, he sneered deeply before rearing his head in laughter. How dare you 2 ants try to kill me? Prince Yuanzhua grit his teeth. Although he was smiling, his eyes were filled with endless rage. As the son of King Jin and a prince who ruled over a region, it had been a long time since he had suffered such a huge loss. He could understand why Feng Zi attacked him. After all, there was a deep feud between them. Furthermore, he had already exposed Feng Zi's identity. Even if she did not attack, he would kill her. However, Su Zimo was nothing. How could a nobody who had ascended from the lower worlds dare to attack him? Furthermore, he was injured by this nobody. Prince Yuanzhua felt that his dignity was being provoked and humiliated. What was his identity? What was the identity of Su Zimo before him? One of them was high up and above while the other was lowly and cheap. It felt as though a weak mantis had blocked his path and even injured him. One could imagine the rage in Prince Yuanzhua's heart. You lowlife, who gave you the guts to attack me? Prince Yuanzhua glared at Su Zimo with a ferocious gaze and asked with grit teeth. Su Zimo, if you can leave, leave quickly. Don't worry about me. Feng Zi sent a voice transmission with her spirit consciousness. He's already summoned the hunting ranking. We won't be able to hurt him with this dermic treasure protecting him. That's not for sure. Su Zimo shook his head gently and continued walking towards Prince Yuanzhua. All right. When Prince Yuanzhua saw that Su Zimo wanted to attack him, he laughed sinisterly. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Prince Yuanzhua pointed forward and the hunting ranking above his head spun, flying towards Su Zimo. It released streams of blood light that wanted to devour Su Zimo completely. Su Zimo had a fearless expression and his glabella opened up. A green light flew out and expanded rapidly in front of him, turning into a bronze square tripod that was half the height of a human. The bronze square tripod descended and exuded an ancient aura, as though it had transmigrated through the sands of time and emitted a strange glow. On 3 sides of the tripod, there were lifelike patterns. The azure dragon circled, the vermilion bird bathed in flames and a turtle and snake intertwined, revealing the patterns of 3 sacred beasts. The final tripod wall was shattered and the pattern on it could not be seen at all. This tripod. Prince Yuanzhua shuddered and felt that the bronze square tripod looked familiar, as though he had seen it somewhere before. When Feng Zi saw the bronze square tripod, she shuddered as well, as though she recalled something. So, it was you. Almost at the same time, Prince Yuanzhua and Feng Zi blurted out. A year ago, Feng Cantian broke free from the 10 absolute hell and fought against 11 perfected immortals. He was suppressed by the Absolute Thunder Divine Pillar in Absolute Thunder City and almost lost. It was also because Feng Cantian summoned a broken bronze tripod out of nowhere that he managed to shatter the Absolute Thunder Divine Pillar and retrieve the startling evil spear within to reverse the situation. The reason why Prince Yuanzhua and Feng Zi could not recognize it right away was because the Hell Suppression Tripod had repaired another tripod wall in the Emperor's tomb and was different from before. Prince Yuanzhua had always thought that Feng Zi was the one who helped Feng Cantian escape. As for Feng Zi, she was utterly confused and did not know how Feng Cantian broke free from the restraints of the 10 absolute hell. Both of them were extremely intelligent. The moment they saw Su Zimo summon the bronze square tripod, they understood many things. So, you're also a survivor of Remnant Night? Prince Yuanzhua said sternly, that's perfect. I'll let the 2 of you die here today as a pair of lovebirds. The moment he said that, the blood light of the hunting ranking shone brightly and engulfed Su Zimo's figure. Enduring the pain from his essence spirit, Prince Yuanzhua channeled the hunting ranking continuously. The blood light on it surged continuously and almost formed a blood sea. The hall was filled with a strong blood stench. Suddenly, 2 bedazzling divine lights burst forth from the blood sea and illuminated the surroundings like daylight, revealing the figure of the Hell Suppression Tripod. On a tripod wall of the Hell Suppression Tripod, the black tortoise that was initially closed had unknowingly opened its eyes. The 2 divine lights burst forth from the eyes of the sacred beast, the black tortoise, and possessed a supreme might that could not be offended. Chapter 2022, Not Dead? Chapter 2022, Not Dead? Even the sticky and grisly blood sea could not withstand the black tortoise's gaze. Splash! The black tortoise did not come out of the tripod wall at all. The moment it opened its eyes, the blood light on both sides seemed to be unable to defend against it and rumbled continuously, opening up a path. Su Zimo hid in the Hell Suppression Tripod and avoided the blood light of the hunting ranking. The Hell Suppression Tripod charged in and smashed towards Prince Yuanzhua. Arg! Prince Yuanzhua exclaimed in shock. A year ago, Feng Cantian controlled this bronze square tripod and shattered the absolute thunder divine pillar. Although Su Zimo did not have Feng Cantian's strength, if he was struck by the bronze square tripod, he would most likely be smashed into pieces as well and would be doomed. Prince Yuanzhua's reaction was extremely fast. He controlled the hunting ranking with one hand and blocked in front of him. With his other hand, he slapped his storage bag and took out a defensive talisman, tearing it apart. Instantly, a defensive barrier was formed around him. Bang! When the hell suppression tripod collided with the hunting ranking, the pitch-black canvas collapsed instantly. Thereafter, it collided heavily against the defensive barrier before stopping. Prince Yuanzhua heaved a sigh of relief. Crack! 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 But soon, he heard cracking sounds. Although he managed to defend against the hell suppression tripod, the defensive barrier on his body was shattered as well and cracks appeared. After a brief pause, it collapsed. When Prince Yuanzhua saw that, he already had the intention to retreat and was prepared to escape. However, the moment he turned around, he caught sight of a figure and was scared out of his wits. Unknowingly, Su Zimo had arrived behind him. Su Zimo wielded a gray saber in his hands. With a cold gaze, he sent the gray saber into Prince Yuanzhua's body. The two of them were so close that Prince Yuanzhua could not react at all. The fourth of the true dragon 9 flashes. Actually, when Su Zimo broke through to the Earth Essence realm and his essence spirit reached the level 3 Earth Essence realm, he could already activate the fourth flash. However, he did not use that final flash earlier on. That was because he had not found the best opportunity. It was only when the hell suppression tripod shattered the defensive barrier and Prince Yuanzhua was still in shock that Su Zimo circulated his fourth flash and arrived behind Prince Yuanzhua before releasing a fatal blow. The gray saber that entered Prince Yuanzhua's body was the time saber. At this distance, Su Zimo naturally had other killing moves. However, he was worried that Prince Yuanzhua had other trump cards to protect himself. With that thought, he decided to release the time saber. No matter how many trump cards Prince Yuanzhua had, he only had slightly more than 30,000 years to live. Time is like a saber could sever 60,000 years of lifespan with a single slash. Prince Yuanzhua could not defend against it at all. Prince Yuanzhua's eyes widened as he glared at Su Zimo indignantly. His hair, beard and brows turned white rapidly and his face was old and filled with wrinkles. In the blink of an eye, he had already aged and was on the brink of death. His life force drained rapidly. That slash severed his lifespan completely. Prince Yuanzhua fell slowly beside Su Zimo's feet and died without a sound. Su Zimo heaved out a sigh of relief. It was finally over. Given his cultivation, he could not defeat a grade 7 Earth Immortal head-on. Apart from the Hell Suppression Tripod, True Dragon 9 flashes and many other powerful trump cards, luck was also involved. Prince Yuanzhua was caught completely off guard. Su Zimo. Right then, Feng Zi's voice sounded with a grim tone. Something doesn't seem right. Why? Su Zimo looked at Feng Zi and asked. Feng Zi was staring at Prince Yuanzhua's corpse with a strange expression. There seemed to be a hint of fear in her eyes. Instinctively, Su Zimo looked down. Prince Yuanzhua's corpse laid on the ground with grievances. His eyes were fixed on Su Zimo and a strange smile appeared on his dead face. That smile was utterly chilling. Su Zimo could clearly and accurately detect that Prince Yuanzhua was indeed dead and there was no longer any life in his body. However, why would he reveal such a smile before his death? Right then, Su Zimo felt an extremely terrifying power surge out from the side. Su Zimo glanced sideways and his expression changed. The hunting ranking at the side floated up slowly and hovered in midair. Endless blood light surged from the blood words on it and its aura rose continuously. How is this possible? Feng Zi murmured softly with a shocked expression. Under normal circumstances, now that Prince Yuanzhuo was dead, his destiny dermic treasure no longer had an owner and could not circulate and float on its own. Unless... Su Zimo and Feng Zi exchanged glances. Both of them thought of the same possibility. Yuanzhua isn't dead. Su Zimo said slowly with a grim expression. Fufufu. Right then, the blood light that burst forth from the hunting ranking interweaved continuously and gradually formed a blood-colored figure. Before his features could appear, a series of laughter sounded. It was the voice of Prince Yuanzhua. Su Zimo frowned. The laughter gradually died down and the blood-colored figure was completely formed, identical to Prince Yuanzhua. You're smart. Prince Yuanzhua looked at Su Zimo and said slowly, what you killed earlier on was just a clone I cultivated. Do you guys think that I can rule over a county with just the cultivation of an earth immortal? Do you think it's just because of my father's love for me? You guys underestimated me. How dare two ants try to commit regicide? When she heard that, Feng Zi felt despair. Even the clone cultivated by Prince Yuanzhua was a grade 7 earth immortal. In that case, there was a high chance that his prime body was an expert at the heaven immortal realm. She was not the only one. Everyone underestimated this young prince. Prince Yuanzhua used this clone to show himself all year round, as though he was indulging in wine and did not have the mood to cultivate. However, the prime body was already an expert at the heaven immortal realm. The jade talisman was extremely important this time round. However, his prime body was in seclusion and did not appear. This was initially a secret of his. Now, it was exposed by Su Zimo and Feng Zi. You two ants shall pay with your lives for destroying my clone. In midair, the blood-colored figure, Prince Yuanzhua, said coldly. Although the blood-colored figure was only conjured by his prime body's hunting ranking in seclusion and resembled a weapon spirit, it was enough to kill Su Zimo and Feng Zi. The power released by the Heaven Immortal expert when he channeled the hunting ranking was naturally far stronger than his Earth Immortal clone. Kill! Suddenly, Su Zimo hollered and channeled his spirit consciousness, blocking the hell suppression tripod in front of him. With a single thought, the black tortoise in the hell suppression tripod opened its eyes and crawled out slowly. Although the black tortoise's movements seemed extremely slow, every single step it took released an extremely terrifying and vast might. This is... Prince Yuanzhua's expression changed starkly. He had not expected the pattern of the sacred beast, the black tortoise, in the hell suppression tripod to come alive and descend before him. Pust! The black tortoise reared its head and howled. Prince Yuanzhua shuddered. Unable to withstand the pressure of the sacred beast, the black tortoise, blood light burst forth from his body. Chapter 2023, Unable to Escape. Chapter 2023, Unable to Escape. The awakened sacred beast soul in the hell suppression tripod could even kill a top-tier heaven immortal expert. Back on the Dragon Abyss Star, the heaven immortal Meiji was killed by the awakened vermilion bird sacred soul. Although Prince Yuanzhua was a heaven immortal expert, his prime body was not here at all. However, because the hunting ranking was his destiny dermic weapon, he could control the power of the hunting ranking even from 5,000 kilometers away. But, that power could not defend against the black tortoise sacred soul at all. Before the black tortoise sacred soul truly attacked, Prince Yuanzhua's blood-colored weapon spirit was already unable to defend against it. The blood light around the blood-colored weapon spirit surged and trembled continuously, almost collapsing. In reality, the hunting ranking was a sentient dermic treasure. Even if Prince Yuanzhua's prime body did not descend personally, the weapon spirit of the hunting ranking was enough to kill the two grade 1 earth immortals, Su Zimo and Feng Zi. However, for the sake of the jade talisman, he allowed Su Zimo to enter the emperor's tomb. By some freak coincidence, the hell suppression tripod devoured a large number of abandoned spirit treasures and repaired the third tripod wall, awakening the black tortoise sacred soul. Even if Prince Yuanzhua racked his brains, he could not imagine such a change. After the black tortoise sacred soul cried, its cold gaze landed on Prince Yuan's blood-colored weapon spirit as it crawled over slowly. Although the speed of the black tortoise sacred soul seemed slow, for some unknown reason, the blood-colored weapon spirit seemed to be rooted to the spot and could not move at all. He could only watch helplessly as the black tortoise sacred soul approached and its massive body collided gently against him. Splash! The blood-colored weapon spirit collapsed on the spot and transformed into a blood sea once more. The blood sea was extremely corrosive. However, the turtle shell on the back of the black tortoise sacred soul was etched with mysterious marks that resembled ravines that contained the secrets of the universe. Buzz! At that moment, the marks on the black tortoise's sacred soul turtle shell shone with a bedazzling golden light that the blood sea could not approach. Not only that, the blood sea was sliced into pieces by the golden light and dried up rapidly. The remaining blood had weak auras and could not even take on the form of a weapon spirit. Turning into a blood beam, it entered the hunting ranking rapidly. Phew! The hunting ranking closed and reverted to a scroll. With a black flash, it wanted to escape from the hall. We can't let him leave. Su Zimo was alarmed. The moment he thought about it, the hell suppression tripod seemed to have sensed something and descended from the skies, emitting an endless might that suppressed the hunting ranking. Boom! The two dermic treasures collided and the hunting ranking let out a tragic cry, crashing to the ground like a meteor. The hell suppression tripod descended once more and reversed its head and legs. Its mouth was aimed at the hunting ranking and released a powerful suction force, devouring the hunting ranking into the tripod. The black tortoise sacred soul returned to the third tripod wall and the aura of the hell suppression tripod surged. It was scorching within and flames surged as it began to refine the hunting ranking. Ah! 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 Prince Yuan's tragic cry sounded from the tripod. Su Zimo's expression was cold and he was unmoved as he continued to refine the hunting ranking. Su Zimo, Feng Zi, even if you two ants destroy my clone and dermic treasure, you won't be able to escape. This is the residence and my maidservants are outside. Those are 3,000 Earth Immortal experts. Outside my residence is Green Cloud City and it's heavily guarded. This is my territory. Just you guys wait. I have already come out of seclusion and will come personally. Once I arrive at Green Cloud City, I'll make life worse for you guys. Prince Yuan's voice was already intermittent towards the end. Before long, there was no more activity. The hunting ranking had already been refined by the hell suppression tripod and turned into a small ball of red molten metal. Su Zimo's expression softened as he let out a long breath. He activated his spirit consciousness and put away the hell suppression tripod. Feng Zi was dumbfounded at the side. She had not expected that this tumultuous assassination attempt would end in such an outcome. If Su Zimo had not returned in time, she would not have been able to assassinate him successfully. Even if she could assassinate Prince Yuan's clone, she would be controlled by his prime body's hunting ranking and killed here. Feng Zi took out a handful of elixir pills from her storage bag and swallowed them before struggling to stand up. I'm sorry, I've implicated you. Arriving before Su Zimo, Feng Zi lowered her head slightly, feeling a little guilty. Although Su Zimo killed Prince Yuan's clone, his hell suppression tripod was exposed as well. Even if he killed a clone of Prince Yuan's, that was merely tantamount to offending a prince. However, helping Feng Cantian escape was an unforgivable crime. The entire Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and even the various factions and experts of the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain might try their best to kill Su Zimo. No one could endure the consequences. Notwithstanding the fact that Su Zimo was only a Grade 1 Earth Immortal, even the Thunder Emperor who had escaped was not out of danger and his fate was unknown. This has nothing to do with you, don't think too much about it. Su Zimo shook his head gently. Even if you didn't attack, I would have attacked to kill Prince Yuan's. You. Feng Zi raised her head in confusion. The reason why she wanted to kill Prince Yuan's was because there was an irreconcilable blood feud between the two of them. However, why would Su Zimo want to attack Prince Yuan's? My spirit consciousness imprint is on his hunting ranking. Su Zimo said, if I don't erase this Tao spirit consciousness imprint, my every move and location in the future won't be able to escape his senses. That was equivalent to him being spied on by Prince Yuanzhua the entire time. Su Zimo would definitely not tolerate such a thing. Of course, although he intended to get rid of this hidden ailment, he had not expected to attack Prince Yuanzhua the moment he returned from the emperor's tomb. At that time, Feng Zi's situation was critical and he could not care less. The development of the situation later on had indeed exceeded Su Zimo's expectations. He had not expected that the person in the prince's residence was only a clone of Prince Yuanzhua. A prince had a noble status and had many trump cards. It was the same for both Yunting and Yuanzhua. It was way too difficult to kill a prince. In the end, Prince Yuanzhua's prime body controlled the hunting ranking and even wanted to kill the two of them. Left with no other choice, he could only summon the Hell Suppression Tripod. Naturally, Su Zimo knew what it meant for him if the Hell Suppression Tripod was exposed. However, he had no other choice. This was the prince's residence. If anything went wrong and alerted the guards, both of them would die here. Thankfully, this hall could be considered as the central hall of the prince's residence. The surrounding iron walls were extremely firm and soundproof. Although the fight was noisy, there was almost no activity outside. Right now, Su Zimo and Feng Zi were faced with another problem. How were they going to escape from the heavily guarded prince's residence or even Green Cloud County? They did not have much time left. Although they did not know where Prince Yuanzhua's prime body was in seclusion, he would definitely arrive at Green Cloud City before long. At that time, it would truly be difficult for them to escape. Chapter 2024, Miraculous Trinity Auspicious Jade. Chapter 2024, Miraculous Trinity Auspicious Jade. The hall fell silent once more and the atmosphere was a little stuffy. The current situation was clear. As long as the two of them left the hall, they would definitely be discovered before long. At that time, neither of them would be able to escape from the prince's residence, let alone Green Cloud City. Although the Black Tortoise Sacred Soul on Su Zimo's Hell Suppression Tripod could kill Earth Immortal experts, there were not only Earth Immortals but also Heaven Immortals in this prince's residence. There would definitely be perfected immortal experts presiding over Green Cloud County as well. It was impossible for the two of them to fight their way out. Feng Zi had a pitch-black paper umbrella that could turn her invisible. However, the pitch-black paper umbrella could only hide from the Mirage Eye. It was difficult for it to hide from the senses of Earth Immortals and Heaven Immortals. This was not the 10 absolute hell where they could escape by turning into a butterfly or a flying insect. Any sudden appearance of any living being in the prince's residence would alert the guards. A moment later, Feng Zi pursed her lips and said softly, actually, Yuanzhua is not wrong. Even if we destroy his clone, we won't be able to escape. Su Zimo glared at the corpse of Prince Yuanzhua's clone and a glint flashed through his eyes as he murmured, not necessarily. What? Feng Zi was stunned and asked, you have a way to escape? I can give it a shot. Su Zimo nodded. As he spoke, his face and figure began to change. His muscles twitched and his body shone with a mysterious green glow. Feng Zi looked at Su Zimo, who was not far away, with disbelief in her eyes. In a few breaths, Su Zimo's face gradually resembled Prince Yuanzhua and even his figure was changing. This is myriad transformations? Feng Zi's eyes widened. However, she quickly denied that thought. The divine powers of transformation were the 36 transformations, 72 transformations and myriad transformations. The 36 transformations was a lesser divine power that could transform into gravel, mud, water and objects, turning into something lifeless. The 72 transformations was a greater divine power and could transform into living beings such as birds, beasts, flora and insects. However, in order to transform into another person, one would have to release the supreme divine power, myriad transformations. After comprehending myriad transformations, one could transform into anything. From the Kuan and dragon races to insignificant specks of dust, everything could be done with a single thought. After comprehending myriad transformations, it was difficult for cultivators of the same cultivation realm to differentiate between reality and illusion. Some races could comprehend that supreme divine power without cultivating it. Legend has it that among the ape race, there was a type of six-eared monkey demon that was extremely rare. However, once their innate divine powers were awakened, they could master myriad transformations directly. In order to cultivate the Tao of assassination, one had to master divine powers related to transformation. As a top-tier assassin, Feng Zi naturally knew everything by heart. Myriad transformations was a supreme divine power and Su Zimo was only a grade 1 earth immortal. Even if his essence spirit realm was high, it was far from the level of a heaven immortal and there was no way he could release myriad transformations. Furthermore, Feng Zimo could not sense any divine power from Su Zimo. Feng Zi looked at Su Zimo in a daze and realized that she could not understand this person anymore. Actually, even if it was anyone else, they would not know what was going on, let alone Feng Zi. In Su Zimo's consciousness, the creation lotus platform spun slowly. The green lotus essence spirit sat on it and waved a jade-green divine jade weapon gently. That jade weapon was the Trinity Auspicious Jade derived from the advancement of the creation green lotus to grade 10. Each time the green lotus essence spirit waved the Trinity Auspicious Jade, the jade weapon would release a mysterious glow that enveloped the green lotus essence spirit. As for Su Zimo's body, it would undergo some changes and he would resemble Prince Yuanzhua more closely. In the end, even his green robes vanished completely and were replaced by a brocade robe. It was the same as what Prince Yuanzhua was wearing. The Trinity Auspicious Jade waved continuously. Su Zimo's brows, hair and everything on his body were transforming into Prince Yuanzhua. The Trinity Auspicious Jade was extremely mysterious and possessed unimaginable abilities. Previously in the Emperor's tomb, Su Zimo did not cultivate the cultivation technique imparted to him by the Black Tortoise Sacred Soul, the Prajna Nirvana Sutra on the third wall of the Hell Suppression Tripod, the Void Thunder Manual or research the Soul Lantern. Instead, he chose to explore the Trinity Auspicious Jade. It was because there were too many unfathomable mysteries in this jade weapon that made one immersed and unable to extricate themselves. Before returning, Su Zimo had already sensed that the Trinity Auspicious Jade had such an ability. This was his first attempt earlier on and he was still a little rusty. Therefore, it took a little longer. If he could control it completely, as long as the Trinity Auspicious Jade waved and swiped gently, Su Zimo might transform into another person right away. After a while, Su Zimo had already disappeared and was replaced by Prince Yuanzhua who was standing on the spot. If Feng Zi had not witnessed this personally, she would not have believed that this Prince Yuanzhua was transformed from Su Zimo. What's going on? Feng Zi asked instinctively with a puzzled expression. Su Zimo smirked sinisterly and said in a frivolous tone, "Take a guess." With the augmentation of the Trinity Auspicious Jade, Su Zimo's voice was no different from Prince Yuanzhua's. However, Su Zimo could only rely on himself to imitate Prince Yuanzhua's attitude and tone. Feng Zi was stunned for a moment before shaking her head. Your voice is very similar, but your expression and tone are still slightly substandard. However, that slight difference was usually difficult to notice. Feng Zi had a preconceived notion after knowing Su Zimo's identity and that was why she could notice the difference. Su Zimo said, "This is just a transformation after all. It's unrealistic to want to be able to imitate his characteristics in a short period of time. If he wanted to imitate someone's characteristics, he would have to observe them carefully at a close distance for a long time." How long had Su Zimo known Prince Yuanzhua? Furthermore, he rarely had the chance to come into close contact with Prince Yuanzhua. It was already rare for him to be able to imitate the latter to this extent. You want to pretend to be Yuanzhua and leave this place? When Feng Zi saw Su Zimo like this, she quickly guessed his intentions. I can give it a shot. Su Zimo said deeply, as long as I speak less, I should be able to hide from everybody without revealing any flaws. Yes. Feng Zi nodded. If Su Zimo did not say anything, he would look exactly the same as Prince Yuanzhua. There was no difference at all. Feng Zi seemed to have thought of something and suddenly frowned. No, there is still a loophole. Your cultivation realm is different from Yuanzhua. The Trinity Auspicious Jade could transform Su Zimo into Prince Yuanzhua's appearance and even change his voice. However, his cultivation realm could not be changed. That was indeed the greatest loophole of the plan. Su Zimo shook his head gently and analyzed calmly, there's no need to worry. Given Yuanzhua's status, no one in Green Cloud City would dare to check his cultivation, let alone in the prince's residence. Chapter 2025, He's a Fake. Chapter 2025, He's a Fake. In the main hall of the prince's residence. The night was dark outside. More than 10 maidservants surveyed the surroundings and were walking over, discussing softly. What's wrong with your highness? Why did he bring down the surrounding palace walls? I'm not sure. It's been a while, right? What else could it be? His highness must have taken a liking to that lass and is prepared to take her in. Who knows, by the time the palace walls are up, she might already be one of our sisters. A maidservant chuckled. Just as the maidservants were chatting and laughing, the door to the hall suddenly opened and 2 people walked out one after another. The man in front was dressed in brocade robes and was extremely handsome. There was a hint of cynicism on his face as he smirked with a sinister smile. The woman at the back lowered her head slightly. Her face was flushed and her hair was disheveled. Her clothes were torn and she followed behind the man obediently. The man and woman were Prince Yuanzhua and Tang Zi. The maidservants hurried forward and knelt on the ground one after another, greeting respectfully, Greetings, Your Highness. Yes. Prince Yuanzhua nodded slightly and waved his hand casually. You guys can leave first. I'm leaving the city, I have something to do. As he spoke, Prince Yuanzhua slapped his storage bag and summoned his carriage from within, sitting in it with Tang Zi. Your Highness, don't you need us to accompany you? A maidservant was puzzled and could not help but ask. There's no need. I'll summon you guys if there's anything. Prince Yuanzhua said coldly. His spirit consciousness moved and he activated the gigantic carriage, speeding out of the residence and disappearing from everyone's line of sight before long. Hee hee. After Prince Yuanzhua left, a maidservant smiled and said, What did I say? Although that Tang Zi has a stern expression and is cold all day long, she was still taken in by Your Highness. That's right. From the looks of it, the battle in the hall earlier on was extremely intense. In the crowd, a maidservant frowned slightly and said thoughtfully, Why do I feel that His Highness is a little strange today? What's wrong? Another maidservant asked. When he goes out usually, His Highness will definitely bring a group of us and make a grand entrance. Why is Tang Zi the only one brought today? The maidservant was puzzled and shook her head. I can't explain why, but I feel that there's something strange about Your Highness today. He's different from usual. Don't worry about it. Another person said, Perhaps Your Highness is up to something. Given our status, it's none of our business. Let's not think too much about it. True. The maidservants chatted for a while more before leaving. The Prince Yuanzhua that the maidservants saw was transformed by Su Zimo using the Trinity Auspicious Jade. Indeed, the maidservants who spent their days with Prince Yuanzhua could not see through Su Zimo's true self either. Su Zimo brought Feng Zi and swaggered out of the prince's residence in front of many guards before heaving a sigh of relief. As he had expected, the guards of the prince's residence did not even dare to look at his carriage, let alone stop it. Just like that, Su Zimo and Feng Zi destroyed Prince Yuanzhua's clone and left the heavily guarded Green Cloud City openly without encountering any obstacles. Su Zimo did not make use of the teleportation formation of Green Cloud City. If he used the teleportation formation to head elsewhere, he would definitely leave traces and it would be easy for Prince Yuanzhua to track him. But now that the two of them had left Green Cloud City, no one knew which direction they had escaped to and their chances of escaping would be much greater. After leaving Green Cloud City, Su Zimo arrived at an uninhabited forest. Dissipating his appearance as Prince Yuanzhua, he removed his eye-catching carriage and fled with Feng Zi. Actually, if Su Zimo was separated from Feng Zi, with the help of the Trinity Auspicious Jade, he could transform into any form he wanted and Prince Yuanzhua would almost never be able to find him. The Trinity Auspicious Jade's ability looked similar to the Supreme Divine Power, myriad transformations. However, in reality, in a certain aspect, the Trinity Auspicious Jade even surpassed myriad transformations. Myriad transformations was a supreme divine power. As long as it was released, it would consume one's essence spirit. This meant that one would have to expend their essence spirit to maintain their conjured form. No matter how condensed and pure one's essence spirit was, it could not last long. However, he would not have such considerations if he made use of the Trinity Auspicious Jade. As long as the Green Lotus Essence Spirit wielded the Trinity Auspicious Jade, he could transform into another appearance without expending any energy. The reason why Su Zimo did not separate from Feng Zi was mainly because the latter was still severely injured. If he were to abandon Feng Zi now, she would most likely be doomed once they were exposed. The night passed and day broke. A young and handsome man arrived outside Green Cloud City with a dark expression. He ignored the guards in the city and charged towards the prince's residence. Prince Yuanzhua. Strange, why didn't your highness return in a carriage? When the guards saw who it was, they found it strange but did not dare to stop him. Your highness, did something happen? A commander of Green Cloud City hurried forward and asked in a deep voice. Scram! Prince Yuanzhua was in a fit of anger and wanted to return to the residence right away to detain Su Zimo and Feng Zi and torture them. He was naturally upset when he saw someone blocking him. With a wave of his robes, he struck the commander's heart-protecting mirror. Crack! The heart-protecting mirror shattered. The commander was sent flying far away and fell to the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his expression changed. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Enduring the pain, the commander got up and shouted sternly, "Stop him!" Thereafter, the commander took out a warning talisman from his storage bag and tore it apart. The warning talisman exploded above Green Cloud City, causing the city to tremble as countless guards flew over. The surrounding guards gathered rapidly and blocked in front of Prince Yuanzhua. How dare you stop me? Prince Yuanzhua was already furious after his clone was destroyed. Now that the city guards dared to stop him, he revealed a shuddering killing intent. Many guards were a little afraid of Prince Yuanzhua's gaze. Everyone was still at a loss. A guard could not help but ask, Commander Yuan, what's going on? Why do you want us to stop His Highness Yuanzhua? This. Humph. Commander Yuan glared at Prince Yuanzhua and sneered, he's not His Highness at all. He's a fake. Ah. The surroundings were in an uproar. Why do you say that, Commander Yuan? How could this be? The guards were even more puzzled. Commander Yuan said in a deep voice, as the commander of Green Cloud City, I'm a grade 9 heaven immortal. Our Highness is only a grade 7 earth immortal. How can he injure me just by waving his sleeves? The power he released earlier on was clearly the power of a top-tier heaven immortal expert. The expressions of the guards changed gradually. Chapter 2026, Empty. Chapter 2026, Empty. More and more guards gathered and surrounded the place. Apart from Commander Yuan, the other commanders of Green Cloud City rushed over as well. When they saw Prince Yuanzhua in the crowd, their expressions changed slightly. What happened? A commander asked. Commander Yuan pointed at Prince Yuanzhua and said coldly, this person released the supreme divine power of myriad transformations and actually took on the appearance of His Highness. He wants to infiltrate Green Cloud City with evil intentions. Fufufu. Prince Yuanzhua was so angry that he laughed. At that moment, he calmed down instead. Since Su Zimo and Feng Zi could not escape from Green Cloud City, there was no need for him to be anxious. The other guards of Green Cloud City sized up Prince Yuanzhua continuously and whispered. At the very least, they could not tell the difference on the surface. However, the spirit consciousnesses of the commanders swept across Prince Yuanzhua and their gazes gradually turned cold. Everyone knew that Prince Yuanzhua was a grade 7 Earth Immortal. The person before them was a grade 9 Heaven Immortal. His appearance, voice, physique and expression could be disguised. However, his cultivation realm could not. Fellow Daoist, since we're at this point, let's reveal our true bodies. A commander glared at Prince Yuanzhua and said coldly, once we give the orders, you won't even get the chance to explain. Commander Yuan sneered, cut the crap with him. Suppress him first and use the soul-searching art on him to see what he wants. You want to suppress me? You even want to search my soul? Prince Yuanzhua's expression was cold and his lungs were about to explode as he hollered, how dare you? Get Jingyu to meet me. Ha! Commander Yuan sneered and mocked, why? Are you addicted to acting like Our Highness? Another commander could not help but laugh as well. Your Highness's destiny dermic treasure is the hunting ranking. Take it out and let us take a look. You guys. At the mention of the hunting ranking, Prince Yuanzhua's blood qi surged and his eyes turned red. He clenched his fists so tightly that they cracked. The hunting ranking had already been devoured by the hell suppression tripod. How could he still have it? Ha 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 ha. When Commander Yuan saw Prince Yuanzhua like this, he burst into laughter and said mockingly, why? You can't continue acting, right? What happened? Suddenly, a voice sounded not far away. Perfected Immortal Jingyu walked over slowly through the void. After a year, Perfected Immortal Jingyu had lost a lot of weight and there was still a hint of worry on his face. In the past year, Feng Santian's matter had troubled him. Greetings, County Governor. The commanders and many guards bowed. Prince Yuanzhua stood there with his head raised. His expression was cold and he trembled in anger. County Governor, someone pretending to be His Highness Yuanzhua has arrived in the city with evil intentions. Thankfully, I was careful and saw through his loopholes, stopping him. Commander Yuan stood out hurriedly and did not forget to claim credit as he recounted the matter. Others did not know the background of Prince Yuanzhua at all and did not know that he had cultivated a clone. Therefore, they had preconceived notions. However, Jingyu knew everything. Your Highness. Perfected Immortal Jingyu's expression changed when he recognized Prince Yuanzhua's true body. He hurried forward and bowed, asking softly, isn't your true body in seclusion cultivation? What happened to alarm your true body? The other cultivators were dumbfounded when they heard that. Their minds were in a mess and they could not react in time. The commanders were the first to realize the truth and knelt down hurriedly with terrified expressions. The other guards followed suit and knelt on the ground. Only Commander Yuan stood rooted to the ground, unable to accept reality. Was the person he mocked earlier on truly His Highness Yuanzhua? If so, instead of a meritorious deed, he had created a huge trouble. Your Highness, I was blind and did not recognize your true body. Please forgive me, Your Highness. With a thud, Commander Yuan knelt on the ground hurriedly and kowtowed repeatedly for mercy. Prince Yuanzhua harumphed coldly and glared at Commander Yuan. He kicked the latter away and scolded, bastard, don't you have eyes? Scram. I'll settle scores with you in the future. Right now, he was in no mood to waste time with Commander Yuan. Soaring into the air, he headed towards his residence. Perfected Immortal Jingyu followed behind. The other commanders exchanged glances and followed hurriedly. Your Highness, did something happen in the Emperor's tomb? Perfected Immortal Jingyu's heart skipped a beat as he vaguely guessed a possibility and probed. There's something wrong with Su Zimo. Prince Yuanzhua did not hide anything. He was the one who helped Feng Cantian escape from Absolute Thunder City. That bronze tripod is in his hands. Ah. Perfected Immortal Jingyu's heart skipped a beat. He had some impression of Su Zimo. He was the one who brought the green-robed scholarly cultivator back personally outside Glass City and sent him into the 10 absolute hell. Before long, Prince Yuanzhua and the others arrived at the residence and descended. When the many guards and maidservants in the residence saw Prince Yuanzhua, perfected immortal Jingyu and the other important figures of Green Cloud City descend, they bowed hurriedly. "Greetings, Your Highness." "Greetings, County Governor." Prince Yuanzhua glanced at the extremely quiet residence and then at the hall that was surrounded by iron walls. He frowned slightly. "Has no one else gone out from here?" The maidservants and guards in the residence raised their heads and looked at Prince Yuanzhua with strange expressions before shaking their heads. Everyone saw Prince Yuanzhua leave with their own eyes. However, he naturally could not be considered as anyone else. Prince Yuanzhua looked at the sealed hall and sneered. "I thought that you were nothing. To think that you're so scared that you don't even dare to leave this hall." "Your Highness, what happened?" Perfected Immortal Jingyu asked. Since things had come to this, Su Zimo and Tang Zi were trapped in the hall before him and could not escape even if they had wings. There was no need for Prince Yuanzhua to hide anything, and he recounted everything that happened in the hall. "These two ants destroyed my clone and dermic treasure. I'll definitely torture them and make them suffer a fate worse than death," Prince Yuanzhua said hatefully. "Your Highness." Right then, a weak voice sounded. A maidservant raised her head with a fearful expression and asked carefully, "You mean to say that your clone is gone? What are you trying to say?" Prince Yuanzhua frowned slightly and said sternly, "Speak if you have anything to say. Don't stutter." The maidservant gulped and said with a trembling voice, "Previously, the few of us witnessed you leave this place with Tang Zi." "What did you say?" Prince Yuanzhua was shocked. A Green Cloud City commander coughed gently and stammered, "I think I saw it too. Your Highness left Green Cloud City with a woman." Prince Yuanzhua spun around and looked at the hall in front of him, shouting, "Rise!" Boom! 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 The iron walls around the hall rose rapidly, revealing a slightly spacious hall that was silent and empty. When he saw that, Prince Yuanzhua's face turned ashen. Chapter 2027, Heaven Execution Guards. Chapter 2027, Heaven Execution Guards. Before Su Zimo left, he burned the corpse of Prince Yuanzhua's clone completely. Apart from the mess after the battle, there was nothing in the hall. Everyone looked at the empty hall and Prince Yuanzhua, who had an extremely dark expression at the side. They could roughly guess what happened. Someone crippled Prince Yuanzhua's clone and even escaped from the heavily guarded Green Cloud City openly right under everyone's noses. Prince Yuanzhua had suffered a huge loss. The surroundings were silent. Everyone lowered their heads and did not dare to look at Prince Yuanzhua. They did not even dare to breathe heavily, afraid that they would attract trouble. Prince Yuanzhua turned around slowly and looked at the maidservants kneeling in front of him. Gritting his teeth, he asked, "Speak. What happened?" The maidservants shuddered in fear. One of them mustered her courage and described everything she had seen. "Just like me?" Prince Yuanzhua raised his brows slightly with a cold killing intent in his eyes. "Could it be myriad transformations?" A commander asked softly. Perfected Immortal Jingyu shook his head and said, "That's impossible. Su Zimo is only a grade 1 Earth Immortal. How can he release a supreme divine power?" Commander Yuan coughed gently and said, "However, if not for myriad transformations, how could he have hidden from so many guards of the prince's residence and Green Cloud County to swagger away? Furthermore..." Before Commander Yuan could finish, a blood light flashed before his eyes and his face was splattered with warm, scarlet blood. The maidservants had their heads severed by Prince Yuanzhua and blood gushed out from their necks, splattering everywhere. "Your Highness, please spare me. Please spare me." The maidservant's essence spirits flew out and kowtowed repeatedly. Prince Yuanzhua's gaze was icy as he said coldly, "You followed me for so long but you can't even recognize me. What's the use of keeping you guys?" Prince Yuanzhua extended his palm and slashed forward through the void. A cold light flashed. The essence spirits of the maidservants were also killed by Prince Yuanzhua on the spot. Prince Yuanzhua turned around and looked at Commander Yuan, who was not far away, coldly without saying anything. Commander Yuan's heart skipped a beat. Unable to withstand Prince Yuanzhua's gaze, he knelt on the ground hurriedly. Even if Su Zimo can release myriad transformations, there must be flaws. Prince Yuanzhua said coldly, "Our cultivation realms are different." "Aren't you very smart, Commander Yuan? Why couldn't you tell?" "I am not." Commander Yuan shivered and wanted to explain. However, all his words were stuck in his throat and he could not say anything. Perfected Immortal Jingyu glanced at Commander Yuan and shook his head gently, sighing internally. If Prince Yuanzhua captured Su Zimo and Feng Zi today, this person might be able to survive. Now that Prince Yuanzhua had suffered a huge loss and had nowhere to vent his anger, one could imagine what would happen to this person. Prince Yuanzhua laughed and said, "Commander Yuan, you're truly amazing. You failed to stop the disguised me and instead, you stopped the real me. More than that, you even wanted to suppress me and search my soul. Your Highness, please forgive me." Commander Yuan kowtowed repeatedly, and before long, his forehead was covered in blood. "You blind dog. Open your eyes in your next life." Prince Yuanzhua harumphed coldly. Suddenly, he reached out and slapped Commander Yuan on the head through the void. Bang! Brain juice splattered everywhere. Before Commander Yuan could make a single sound, he died on the spot with his essence spirit destroyed. The other cultivators present were silent as well. At that moment, Prince Yuanzhua was in a fit of anger. A single mistake could lead to death. Even perfected Immortal Jingyu chose to remain silent. Prince Yuanzhua was still angry after killing a few people in succession. As a county prince who ruled over a vast territory with more than 100 cities, he had never suffered such a huge loss. His true body was in seclusion this time round and had initially intended to attempt to break through to the perfected one realm. But now that his clone was destroyed, he came out of seclusion in advance. With his destiny dermic treasure crippled, his prime body was implicated as well. Breaking through to the perfected one realm was extremely dangerous, and one had to endure the heavenly tribulation without any mistakes. Even if no one interfered, he might not have succeeded. Furthermore, he had suffered such a loss at the critical juncture of his breakthrough. Even his Tao heart was affected. For a long time to come, he would no longer be able to attempt to break through the barrier of the perfected one realm. The fact that his clone was destroyed and his dermic treasure was crippled was secondary. The losses on the side of Prince Yuanzhua's prime body could not be calculated at all. More importantly, the culprit, Su Zimo, had escaped from his territory. One could imagine the rage in Prince Yuanzhua's heart. Who else saw Su Zimo leave? Prince Yuanzhua's gaze lingered on the remaining commanders. Earlier on, a commander among them said that he witnessed Su Zimo leaving the city with Feng Zi. The person shuddered when he heard Prince Yuanzhua's question. "Die too?" Prince Yuanzhua's voice suddenly sounded in his ears without any emotions. Before he could react, he felt a sharp pain on his glabella. The next moment, he lost consciousness and fell backwards, dead. In the eyes of Prince Yuanzhua, the lives of these Green Cloud City Heaven Immortal commanders were worthless as well. They were killed without hesitation. Prince Yuanzhua said with a dark expression, "Pass down my order. Kill anyone in Green Cloud City who saw Su Zimo and Feng Zi. Be it guards or cultivators, regardless of their backgrounds or gender, kill them all." Only fresh blood could appease the rage in his heart slightly. The other commanders were shocked. Countless people would die in Green Cloud City if that order was passed down. The commanders exchanged glances and shouted without hesitation, "Understood." Thereafter, they turned to leave. If any of them hesitated, they might be killed by Prince Yuanzhua on the spot. In the blink of an eye, only Prince Yuanzhua and perfected Immortal Jingyu were left in front of the hall. Hands behind his back, Prince Yuanzhuo walked slowly into the hall and looked at the messy battlefield with an extremely cold expression. Perfected Immortal Jingyu stood on the spot and closed his eyes for a long time before opening them and following quickly. Perfected Immortal Jingyu said, "Your Highness, there's no need to be angry. Su Zimo and Feng Zi's cultivation realms are limited. Even if they speed with all their might, they won't be able to escape far in a single night. I've already passed down the order to mobilize more than half of Green Cloud City's troops to search with all our might. As long as the two of them appear, we'll definitely be able to capture and suppress them." Without saying anything, Prince Yuanzhua flipped his palm and took out a talisman from his storage bag. He said coldly, "Lone Star, hurry and meet me in Green Cloud City." That line of words appeared on the talisman. Prince Yuanzhua rubbed his palm and the talisman shattered, turning into a streak of light that disappeared into the void. One of the commanders of the Heaven Execution Guards, Lone Star, a grade 9 Heaven Immortal. The Execution Guards were divided into Earth and Heaven Guards. The Heaven Guards were all grades 7, 8 and 9 Heaven Immortals, top experts of the Heaven Essence realm. They only listened to orders from the royal family of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom. Even Perfected Immortal Jingyu was not qualified. When Perfected Immortal Jingyu heard that name, he nodded slightly. With a Heaven Guard commander around, the two of them definitely won't be able to escape. Chapter 2028, Blood Guidance Secret Skill. Chapter 2028, Blood Guidance Secret Skill. About 4 hours later, a cultivator in white armor arrived at the Green Cloud County Prince's residence with a saber hanging on his waist. The person had a cold expression and his face was sharp with defined edges. His eyes seemed to be shimmering with starlight, looking deep and mysterious. The commander of the Heaven Execution Guards, Lone Star. Apart from the difference in cultivation realm, there was also a clear difference in appearance between Heaven and Earth Guards. The Earth Guards wore the black gold feather armor while the Heaven Guards wore the platinum feather armor. It was even sturdier and had an even stronger defense. "Greetings, Your Highness Yuanzhua." Lone Star arrived at the residence of the prince and bowed in the hall. Prince Yuanzhua said in a deep voice, "I'm looking for 2 people. My clone fought with them here previously and both of them are injured and bleeding." "All right." Lone Star nodded. Prince Yuanzhua glared at Lone Star and instructed solemnly, "Lone Star, even if you have to dig 3 feet underground, you have to find the 2 of them." Lone Star said, "Don't worry, Your Highness. As long as the 2 of them bleed, they won't be able to escape." With that said, he closed his eyes and his hands began to change as he conjured various strange dermic arts. His glabella shone with a divine light. "Condense." Lone Star waved his finger slowly and hollered softly. 3 drops of blood gradually formed on his fingertip in the hall. Lone Star sensed for a moment and said, "One of them is yours, Your Highness." With a single thought from Lone Star, one of the droplets of blood shattered into blood chi and dissipated into the world, leaving only 2 drops of blood. Guidance. Lone Star conjured hand seals and hollered softly, pointing at the 2 drops of blood. A strange power descended on the 2 drops of blood. The 2 drops of blood floated in midair and squirmed continuously, transforming into various forms. Before long, the 2 drops of blood formed 2 thin figures, a man and a woman. The features of the 2 figures were extremely clear. They resembled Su Zimo and Feng Zi. Perfected Immortal Jingyu nodded slightly and could not help but praise, "Commander Lone Star, you're getting more and more proficient with this blood guidance secret skill. How is it? Can you find them?" Prince Yuanzhua asked hurriedly. "Don't worry, Your Highness. We'll be able to locate them if we follow the 2 blood figures." Lone Star's spirit consciousness moved and the blood figures formed by the 2 drops of blood flew out of the hall. "Hold on," Prince Yuanzhua suddenly said. Narrowing his gaze slightly, he stood on the spot in silence. Now that he could confirm Su Zimo's location, he was in no hurry. "Does Your Highness have any reservations?" Perfected Immortal Jingyu said, "If you're worried, I'll follow you as well. We'll definitely be able to suppress the two of them. This is a rare opportunity. Prince Yuanzhua smirked and seemed to have thought of something as he muttered to himself with a glint in his eyes. Su Zimo and Feng Zi sped the entire way without stopping at all, getting further and further away from Green Cloud City. A mountain range appeared in front of them. From afar, the mountains rose and fell like a divine dragon that was about to soar into the skies, hence the name Soaring Dragon Mountain Range. Let's find a secluded place ahead to rest. Feng Zi panted slightly with a pale expression. She was severely injured by Prince Yuanzhua and had expended a lot of energy speeding along the way without healing much. Su Zimo looked at the mountain range before him and frowned slightly, as though he was worried about something. However, he still nodded when he saw the extremely weak Feng Zi. After entering the mountain range, the two of them found a secluded cave to hide in for the time being. Feng Zi swallowed a handful of pills and took out 2 essence spirit stones from her storage bag. As she cultivated, she recovered her stamina and healed her injuries. After advancing to the Earth Immortal Realm, she could already absorb the essence chi in essence spirit stones. The essence chi in essence spirit stones was more condensed and pure than the surrounding heaven and earth essence chi. Naturally, its healing effect was much better. Su Zimo set up some formations at the entrance of the cave, making it even more secretive. He even engraved 2 distracting formations so that cultivators passing by would not notice the cave even if they saw this place. As Feng Zi was healing, Su Zimo was recuperating as well. However, his eyes were half opened and he was tense the entire time. He listened to everything and paid attention to any activity in the mountain range. Half a day later, Feng Zi's expression softened and her face turned rosy. She opened her eyes and looked at Su Zimo, who was on guard not far away. You don't have to be too nervous. We've escaped for so long and Yuanzhua and the others don't know the direction. They have to search a large area and it'll take a long time before they can reach here. Yes. Su Zimo nodded and said, that's indeed the case under normal circumstances. However, for some unknown reason, I feel uneasy. I don't know what went wrong. We'll definitely be able to escape. Feng Zi said, I'll recuperate for another 2 hours before we move. All right. Su Zimo agreed. Right, I still don't know why you saved my grandfather. Are you also from Remnant Night? Suddenly, Feng Zi asked. Along the way, that doubt lingered in her heart. Feng Cantian was considered a taboo in the divine firmament immortal domain and no one dared to mention or have anything to do with him. Moreover, no one would risk the immense danger to head to the 10 absolute hell and save him. Remnant Night? Su Zimo shook his head gently. I don't know what is Remnant Night nor am I someone from Remnant Night. What is that? It's an organization. Feng Zi explained, after my grandfather was suppressed, my master and father gathered the old subordinates under my grandfather and formed this organization to assassinate some cultivators of the Great Jin Immortal Dynasty, especially the royal family. The name of Remnant Knight comes from 2 words in the names of my grandfather and master. These were initially extremely secretive matters and Feng Zi would definitely not mention them to anyone. However, after knowing that Su Zimo had once saved Feng Cantian, Feng Zi naturally felt a sense of familiarity towards him. Actually, Feng Zi had a good impression of Su Zimo to begin with. However, she did not know Su Zimo's background or could she read him. Therefore, she had always been cautious of Su Zimo. But now, that trace of caution had vanished as well. However, after my parents died, Remnant Knight suffered a huge blow as well. We were encircled by the execution guards and various perfected immortals of the Great Jin Immortal Dynasty and suffered immense losses. Feng Zi said, all these years, Master was the only one hanging on. However, he has also grown old after so many years. A look of loneliness flashed through Feng Zi's eyes at the mention of the past. You haven't told me why you saved my grandfather. Feng Zi asked again. Su Zimo smiled and said, it's nothing much. It's because I hail from the same place as the Thunder Emperor. Thunder Emperor? Feng Zi was slightly stunned. She had only heard her master mention that name once. It seemed to be her grandfather's Dao title in the lower worlds. Ah, you're also from. Feng Zi realized something and was about to speak when Su Zimo interrupted her. With a grim expression, he hollered, "Someone's here." Chapter 2029, Scheming Against the Thunder Emperor. Chapter 2029, Scheming Against the Thunder Emperor. How many? Feng Zi's heart skipped a beat as she sent a voice transmission. Although she did not notice any activity, she knew that given Su Zimo's capabilities, there was definitely no mistake. Su Zimo did not dare to release his spirit consciousness to check, afraid that he would attract attention. He could only close his eyes and listen. There's quite a few of them and they're in the vicinity of this mountain range. A moment later, Su Zimo opened his eyes and sent a voice transmission. How could this be? Feng Zi frowned. If it was a large-scale search, Yuan Zuo wouldn't have been able to locate this location so quickly. Right now, it felt as though the other party had found out about their location and was rushing over. Could it be a coincidence and not targeted at us? Feng Zi asked again. Su Zimo shook his head. I'm not sure. Let's take a look first and not act rashly. Their cultivation realms are not weak and they can speed through the air freely. The weakest among them are probably earth immortals. Before long, Feng Zi heard the sound of clothes fluttering not far away as well. The two of them could only hide in the cave and wait silently, hoping that the cultivators would leave as soon as possible. However, things did not go as planned. As time passed by, more and more cultivators gathered and lingered around the mountain range. Perhaps the array formation at the entrance of Su Zimo's cave was working, or perhaps the cave was secluded to begin with. Some cultivators who passed by this place could not find any traces of them. However, those cultivators lingered in the mountain range and refused to leave. The two of them hid in the cave and did not dare to act rashly. Every single breath was a huge torture for them. Just like that, half a day passed. Something's not right. Suddenly, Su Zimo said. Why? Feng Zi asked. Su Zimo said in a deep voice, under normal circumstances, with so many cultivators, it's more than enough to search this mountain range dozens of times in half a day. However, although there are many cultivators coming and going, none of their spirit consciousnesses have scanned our cave. Feng Zi nodded as well. She realized that as well. Su Zimo's concealment array formation was only set up in a hurry and could not be hidden from the spirit consciousness detection of an earth immortal. However, the cultivators in the mountain range seemed to be avoiding their cave intentionally. We should have been discovered. Su Zimo's expression turned grim. Although he did not know why the two of them were exposed, the signs outside indicated that they were exposed. Feng Zi murmured softly with a confused expression, they seem to be guarding the vicinity and won't let us leave. What are they trying to do? Given Yuan's violent nature, he should have attacked us a long time ago after suffering such a huge loss. Could they not be Yuan's men? Su Zimo was thinking about that as well. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind and he blurted, it's the Thunder Emperor. Their goal is to lure him here. Ah! Feng Zi exclaimed in realization. Fufufu. Right then, sinister laughter sounded from the cave. Su Zimo, you're truly smart. I almost can't bear to kill you. Prince Yuan's voice sounded with a hint of mockery and hatred. Su Zimo and Feng Zi exchanged glances and headed out of the cave at the same time. Since they were already exposed, there was no need for them to continue hiding. Both of them knew in their hearts that they were most likely doomed today. Therefore, there was a hint of determination in their eyes. Prince Yuanzhua, perfected immortal Jingyu and a man in platinum feather armor stood side by side in midair, looking down at Su Zimo and Feng Zi who had just walked out of the cave. That man in the platinum armor is one of the commanders of the Heaven Execution Guards, Lone Star. Tang Zi said softly. Remnant Knight was an assassin organization specially targeted at the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and was familiar with some of the important figures within. Why bother? Prince Yuanzhua looked at Su Zimo with a mocking expression and chuckled. I've already said that this is my territory. You guys won't be able to escape. Su Zimo and Feng Zi were birds in a cage. Now that Prince Yuanzhua had control of the situation, he was in no hurry to kill the two of them. He had even greater motives. Su Zimo and Feng Zi were merely two small shrimps and the true big fish was Feng Cantian. I've long released the news that I'm coming to the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range to encircle and suppress you guys. What will Feng Cantian do if he finds out that his granddaughter is in my hands? Prince Yuanzhua asked with a smile. Su Zimo sneered, Yuanzhua, if I can tell your intentions, do you think Feng Cantian can't? Of course he can tell. Prince Yuanzhua shrugged his shoulders and said, so what? Even if he can tell, he has to come over and jump into my trap obediently. Su Zimo was silent. Prince Yuanzhua was not wrong. This was an open scheme. Even if the Thunder Emperor knew that this was a trap, he would definitely rush over given his personality. Even if Feng Zi was dead, the Thunder Emperor would want to see for himself if it was real, let alone if she was still alive. When Prince Yuanzhua saw that Su Zimo had gone silent, he felt even more smug. His scheme was perfect. Initially, he suffered immense losses after losing a clone and his destiny dermic treasure. But now, he was beating them at their own game. Not only did he capture Su Zimo and Feng Zi, he even made use of them to lure the Thunder Emperor out. If he could suppress the Thunder Emperor, it would be an unimaginable merit. His father would definitely reward him with countless treasures that could make up for his loss this time round. He could also make use of this opportunity to become famous in the Nine Firmament. With his heaven immortal cultivation, he devised a strategy to capture and suppress the supreme perfected immortal of the past. What sort of glory and prestige was that? Even his older brother, the heir of King Jin, could not hold Feng Cantian back and merely injured him severely. If he could suppress Feng Cantian, his status among the many descendants would increase and he could even compete with the heir. At that thought, Prince Yuanzhua felt a sense of excitement and could not help but laugh. Even if I commit suicide, I won't be used by you. Feng Zi hollered and moved her hands slightly. The dark daggers were already in her palms and she stabbed towards her glabella. Buzz! A tremendous might suddenly descended. In midair, perfected immortal Jing Yu's glabella shone and he released a perfected immortal spirit consciousness, saying indifferently, if you can still commit suicide in front of me, my lifetime's worth of cultivation would have been for naught. Su Zimo's expression was cold as he clenched his fists. He was helpless in the current situation as well. It was useless even if he summoned the Hell Suppression Tripod. The Black Tortoise Sacred Soul in the Hell Suppression Tripod could only kill a Heaven Immortal expert at most. However, he was facing perfected immortals. Cultivators were gathered around them and the weakest were Earth Immortals. It was unknown if there were other experts hidden in this mountain range. The main target of Prince Yuan's trap today was not them, but the Thunder Emperor. Chapter 2030, Massive Battle. Chapter 2030, Massive Battle. Boom. 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 Right then, a deep and powerful thunderclap sounded from the distant horizon. It rumbled like a tsunami surging in the firmaments. Here he comes. Prince Yuanzhua was invigorated and turned around with a bright gaze. At the end of the mountain range, a large patch of dark clouds as thick as ink floated over at an extremely fast speed. Electric arcs flashed from time to time within the dark clouds. Beneath the dark clouds, a skinny figure carried a spear that was surrounded by blue lightning on his shoulder and strode over. It was the Thunder Emperor, Feng Cantian. Before long, Feng Cantian arrived nearby. He had a weathered expression. It was clear that he had traveled a long way without resting. However, there was still lightning rumbling in his eyes that was shuddering and terrifying. It could not be ignored. Feng Cantian's gaze swept past Su Zimo and Feng Zi. When he saw that the two of them were fine, his expression softened and he looked at Prince Yuanzhua and the other two. You want to lure me out? As you wish. The Thunder Emperor swept his gaze and looked around, saying slowly, reveal yourselves. Let me see just who you are. The moment he said that, 4 figures appeared in the surrounding forest and headed over. The 4 of them exuded an extremely dangerous aura that was on par with perfected immortal Jingyu. If he was not wrong, the 4 of them were perfected immortal experts. Perfected immortal Jingyu took a step forward as well and formed a formation with the 4 of them, surrounding the Thunder Emperor in the middle. Hee hee. The Thunder Emperor had a disdainful expression as he looked askance at perfected immortal Jingyu's group of 5 and sneered, I killed 10 of the 11 perfected immortals last time. Now, 5 of you are here to die? Things are different now. Perfected immortal Jingyu's expression was unchanged. Feng Cantian, there's no need for you to force yourself. We wouldn't have set this trap if we weren't confident of winning. A perfected immortal in the east wore a grey Daoist robe and 3 long whiskers hung in front of his chest. He wielded a horsetail whip and smiled. Feng Cantian, you've been nailed to the stone pillar by King Tianqing's execution saber for hundreds of thousands of years. Your wounds can't heal at all, and the longer you drag on, the more serious your injuries will be. The perfected immortal in the south was a beautiful woman in tight robes. She had red hair and said coquettishly, 3 months ago, you were severely injured by the heir of King Jin. Although you survived, your foundation was injured as well. Your current combat strength is much weaker than a year ago. Feng Cantian, you're truly amazing. The perfected immortal in the west was tall and bare-chested. He wielded a pair of bronze whips and said, the heir of King Jin has already been conferred the title of Immortal King. Even with your severely injured body, you managed to escape from him. Tisk. There was a major cultivation realm difference between an immortal king and a perfected immortal. However, that difference was like heaven and earth. Under normal circumstances, even if 10 or 100 perfected immortals joined forces, they would not be able to deal with an immortal king. It was said that when the heir of King Jin caught up to Feng Cantian, the two of them even fought for a long time before Feng Cantian escaped. To everyone, that was unimaginable. How could a perfected immortal survive a battle against an immortal king? The perfected immortal standing in the north was very young and did not say anything the entire time. He merely looked at Feng Cantian quietly with a smile. This person did not look sharp and was like a speck of dust. He was the most ordinary among the 4 perfected immortals. However, Feng Cantian's gaze was fixed on that person the entire time and most of his attention was on that person. Piak. 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 Prince Yuanzhua could not help but clap and praise, Feng Cantian, I have to say that although you're about to die, your judgment is indeed sharp. Perfected immortal Fei Yun is one of the strongest legacy disciples of Imperial Wind Temple. Su Zimo was shocked. Imperial Wind Temple was one of the 4 immortal sects of the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain. The 4 immortal sects were existences that could be ranked alongside the 3 immortal kingdoms. To think that Prince Yuanzhua would invite a legacy disciple of Imperial Wind Temple. Perfected immortal Fei Yun cupped his fists towards the Thunder Emperor and smiled. I'm Fei Yun and I'm considered a junior. I've heard a lot about your reputation, fellow Daoist. It's no wonder why you guys are fearless. So, you've invited a void reversion perfected immortal. The Thunder Emperor said coldly. Su Zimo had never heard of void reversion perfected immortals before. However, from what the Thunder Emperor said, the void reversion perfected immortal seemed to be an extremely strong existence among perfected immortals. Perfected immortal Fei Yun nodded and said, fellow Daoist, you're sharp. It's a rare opportunity today and I wanted to gain experience from you. Foo-foo. The Thunder Emperor sneered, what's with that hypocritical act? All you're trying to do is hit me when I'm severely injured. Experience my ass. Old dog, don't be arrogant. The smile on perfected immortal Fei Yun's face vanished after his thoughts were exposed by the Thunder Emperor as he said coldly, I'm giving you face by addressing you as a fellow Taoist and saying that I want to gain experience from you. Right now, you're just a stray dog that's not even worthy of carrying my shoes." He was young and impetuous after all and was triggered after being embarrassed. For perfected immortal Jing Yu and the others, their expressions had long been stoic. In their opinion, as long as they could suppress the Thunder Emperor, they could do anything. Cut the crap and fight. The Thunder Emperor hollered and his chi surged into the clouds. Slapping his palm on the startling evil spear, he circulated a dermic art and lightning surged in his palm, bursting forth. Boom! A blinding light burst forth from the startling evil spear that was even brighter than the blazing sun. It spread and enveloped the entire mountain range. 9 firmament instant thunder. Ah! 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 The surrounding earth and heaven immortal experts were shocked and closed their eyes hurriedly. Some cultivators closed their eyes slower and their eyes stung from the shock of the lightning, even bleeding. Cultivators further away cried endlessly as well. "Be careful, Your Highness." Perfected immortal Jing Yu's expression was unchanged. In a flash, he stood in front of Prince Yuan Zhua and 2 beams of light burst forth from his eyes, forming a sparkling mirror in front of him. Streaks of lightning struck the mirror and flashed with electric arcs. Although the mirror shook, it managed to defend against the lightning. The other 4 perfected immortal experts released their visual techniques one after another to defend against the Thunder Emperor's secret skill. Under normal circumstances, visual techniques were single-target attacks. However, the Thunder Emperor's secret skill was a group attack and cultivators with weak eyes could not withstand it at all. The 5 perfected immortal experts released their visual techniques one after another and were completely unharmed against the envelopment of the instant thunder. As for the Thunder Emperor, he wielded the startling evil spear and had already arrived before perfected immortal Jing Yu under the cover of the lightning, thrusting his spear forward. Shing! The spear was extremely fast and even a tearing sound could be heard from the void, as though the startling evil spear had pierced a piece of cloth. Perfected immortal Jing Yu sneered and channeled his spirit consciousness. With a flip of his palm, an ancient mirror appeared between his hands. The mirror shone brightly and the mysterious and complicated runes on the back of the mirror suddenly shone with rays of light under the channeling of perfected immortal Jing Yu. Clang! A loud bang sounded when the startling evil spear struck the mirror. The mirror fluctuated and a full moon flew out from the ancient mirror, slashing towards the Thunder Emperor. Chapter 2031, Universe Suspension. Chapter 2031, Universe Suspension. The edge of the full moon was incomparably sharp and emitted a cold intent as it slashed towards the Thunder Emperor's neck. The Thunder Emperor's expression was unchanged as he retracted his startling evil spear and blocked. Clang! The full moon shattered and the Thunder Emperor shuddered, retreating half a step. When he saw that, Su Zimo sighed internally. It seemed like perfected immortal Jing Yu and the others were right. The Thunder Emperor was severely injured and his current combat strength was inferior even to when he first escaped a year ago. Su Zimo was fortunate enough to witness the Battle of Absolute Thunder City personally. The Thunder Emperor was invincible and had a peerless bearing. With a single spear strike, he cracked perfected immortal Jing Yu's ancient mirror. But now, not only did the Thunder Emperor fail to repel perfected immortal Jing Yu with the same spear strike, the latter even had the strength to retaliate. A year ago, the Thunder Emperor's thunder eyes could even kill perfected immortal experts. But now, although his eyes were still filled with the blazing light of thunder, his body was way too weak. After the short exchange between the Thunder Emperor and perfected immortal Jing Yu, the other 4 perfected immortals attacked as well. When the grey-robed perfected immortal was dozens of feet away from the Thunder Emperor, he waved the horsetail whip in his hands and wiped it gently towards the latter. At the same time, the grey-robed perfected immortal chanted a dermic art and channeled his spirit consciousness. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and spat out a ball of colorful light that landed on the horsetail whip. Universe Suspension. The grey-robed perfected immortal hollered and the threads at the end of his horsetail whip expanded by dozens of feet. They shone brightly and suddenly spread, covering the skies densely as they enveloped the Thunder Emperor. This was a supreme divine power created by the gray-robed perfected immortal using a sentient dermic treasure. Every single thread contained the divine power of spatial lock. Spatial lock was a supreme divine power to begin with. The thousands of threads gathered and released the power of spatial lock at the same time. A gentle wipe was enough to freeze the universe and all living beings. The moment this perfected immortal attacked, he revealed extremely brilliant methods. In order to deal with the Thunder Emperor, the perfected immortal experts invited by Prince Yuan Zhuo were different from the old perfected immortals in Absolute Thunder City. All of them were experts among perfected immortals. Shoo! 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 The threads floated down one after another. Although they looked weak, every single one of them possessed the power of a supreme divine power. When the Thunder Emperor waved the startling evil spear, he could sever dozens of threads initially. However, the threads were dense and covered the skies. They could not be cut through completely. In the blink of an eye, his body was bound by endless threads. The divine powers surged on the threads and burst forth at the same time, locking the Thunder Emperor on the spot. Ha 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 ha. The gray-robed perfected immortal burst into laughter and stroked the 3 long whiskers on his chin, saying smugly, "That's all there is to the supreme perfected immortal." Su Zimo and Feng Zi were far from being perfected immortals. However, no matter the cultivation realms, there was a common understanding of combat. Both of them could tell that if the Thunder Emperor was rooted to the spot by the horsetail whip of the gray-robed perfected immortal and could not move at all, he would be like fish on a chopping block. The remaining 3 perfected immortals, the red-headed beauty, the naked burly man and perfected immortal Fei Yun, were initially about to attack. However, when they saw that, they could not help but chuckle and retract their stance. The naked burly man pouted. I thought that he should have some tricks up his sleeves since he could break free from the 10 absolute hell. To think that he's so weak that you're able to capture him single-handedly. Taoist, your universe suspension sure is amazing. The red-headed beauty said, Feng Cantian is known as the supreme perfected immortal. To think that he can't even break free from your threads. Haha. The gray-robed perfected immortal burst into laughter. He wants to break free, but his blood chi and true essence are frozen by my threads. He won't be able to use them even if he's strong. Universe suspension did not only freeze the Thunder Emperor's body. Even his bloodline, true essence, spirit consciousness and everything else about him were restricted by the threads. Humph. Suddenly, the Thunder Emperor harumphed coldly and spat out a mouthful of blood. Every single drop of blood contained a terrifying power of thunder that splattered on the surrounding threads. Break! The Thunder Emperor hollered and his blood chi surged with the sound of a tsunami. The startling evil spear was the first to break free and sever all the threads in front of it. Thereafter, the Thunder Emperor struggled. Pang! 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 Like a snapped bowstring, the threads on his body were shattered into countless pieces and scattered from midair. Wielding his bare horsetail whip, the gray-robed perfected immortal swayed. His face was slightly pale and his gaze was filled with resentment. Feng Cantian, let's see how much essence blood you have left. The gray-robed perfected immortal waved the 3 whiskers in front of him. The 3 whiskers expanded and arrived around the Thunder Emperor instantly, wanting to restrain him in the same manner. 3 heads 6 arms. The Thunder Emperor's gaze was like lightning as he growled and released his supreme divine power. Another 2 heads and 4 arms grew and his strength increased exponentially. The beard of the gray-robed perfected immortal had just coiled over when it was snapped by the Thunder Emperor with 3 heads 6 arms. Hee hee. The naked burly man gave a strange laugh. Taoist, your methods are no longer effective. It's up to us. Before his sentence was finished, the naked burly man took a step forward and arrived before the Thunder Emperor instantly. His blood chi surged and a phantom in heavy armor appeared behind him, resembling a god that had descended to the mortal world. Bloodline phenomenon. The moment the naked burly man attacked, he released his full strength. He raised the bronze truncheons in his hands and smashed them towards the Thunder Emperor. 8 Dao burn marks shone on the truncheons. This was an 8 tribulations spirit treasure that was second only to the 9 tribulations pure yang startling evil spear in the hands of the Thunder Emperor. At the same time, the red-headed beauty took light steps and waved her sleeves, causing a red ribbon to fly out. At the top of the ribbon was a string of bronze bells that shot towards the Thunder Emperor. Before the bronze bells descended, a shuddering sound echoed in an extremely strange manner. Wielding the startling evil spear, the Thunder Emperor was about to fight the naked burly man head-on when he heard the bell sound. Instantly, the blood chi in his body turned chaotic and his heart began to beat erratically, alternating between rapid and slow. Boom! Right then, the bronze truncheons and startling evil spear collided with a deafening bang and sparks flew. The Thunder Emperor shuddered and spat out blood as he was sent flying. The red-headed beauty's bronze bells chased relentlessly and the red ribbon extended continuously. Like a shadow, the bronze bells chased after the Thunder Emperor and struck his glabella. Although the Thunder Emperor was injured and vomiting blood, his eyes were still extremely calm as he retreated. The startling evil spear in his hands drew a semicircle in midair and knocked the red-headed beauty's bronze bells to the side gently. Most of the Thunder Emperor's spear techniques were ferocious and masculine. They were direct and wide. However, this move was extremely mysterious and pushed the power of gentleness to its limits. The red-headed beauty felt as though her bronze bells had struck the air and could not exert any strength at all. She had no way of channeling her power even if she wanted to. Let me end it. Perfected immortal Fei Yun smiled gently and suddenly attacked. Chapter 2032, Change. Chapter 2032, Change. In fact, perfected immortal Fei Yun did not even summon his destiny spirit treasure. He merely conjured an immortal art with one hand and pointed forward. Suddenly, a breeze blew beside the Thunder Emperor. The Thunder Emperor's body swayed and his expression changed. Poof! 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 Blood light surged. The 2 heads and 4 arms that he had just grown were severed by invisible forces one after another as blood gushed out. TSK. 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 Wounds appeared on the Thunder Emperor's body as blood splattered everywhere. The breeze contained a terrifying sharpness that suddenly rose. There was no time to prepare and he could not dodge even if he wanted to. The Thunder Emperor's face was pale as he fell from midair, drenched in blood. He could only support his body that was filled with injuries with the startling evil spear. Hee hee. Although the Thunder Emperor was severely injured, he could still smile. A void reversion perfected immortal sure is capable. Perfected immortal Fei Yun had an indifferent expression and said proudly, Feng Cantian, feel lucky that you weren't born in the same era as me. Otherwise, you would have been my stepping stone. You wouldn't have had the chance to obtain the glory of being the supreme perfected immortal. The clothes of the Thunder Emperor were sliced into pieces by the sharpness of the breeze and fell slowly, revealing half of his body. There were many wounds on the Thunder Emperor's body. However, the wound on his chest left by the execution saber was still the most shocking. That saber pierced the Thunder Emperor and almost dug out a bloody hole. The flesh on both sides of the wound was overturned and even rotted with a yellow color, emitting a foul stench. It was hard to imagine that the Thunder Emperor was dragging such a damaged body to fight against the 5 perfected immortals. It was hard to imagine that the Thunder Emperor relied on this battered body to fight against the heir of King Jin, an immortal king, and escape. When Feng Zi saw that, her heart ached and she could barely stand. The Thunder Emperor could not even stand steadily and was crippled, almost unable to fight anymore. All right. Prince Yuanzhua had a satisfied expression as he clapped with a smile. Thank you for your help today, perfected immortals. That's why we are able to capture Feng Cantian alive. I'll report everything that happened today as it is to my father. At that time, he will definitely reward you guys. Your Highness, you're making things sound too serious. The gray-robed perfected immortal cupped his fists. As a guest of the great Jin immortal kingdom, it's only right for me to help attack. The Thunder Emperor was no longer a threat and everyone relaxed. Suddenly, a resolute look flashed through Su Zimo's eyes as he vanished from the spot in a flash. When he reappeared, he was already beside the Thunder Emperor. Although the Thunder Emperor fell to the ground, he was still enveloped by the spirit consciousnesses of the 5 perfected immortals. Su Zimo's action was equivalent to being embroiled in a perfected immortal battlefield. A single spirit consciousness from a perfected immortal could kill him. Who's there? The grey-robed perfected immortal and the others were alarmed, thinking that an expert had descended. However, when they saw that the intruder was only a grade 1 Earth immortal, they relaxed and sneered. I was wondering what sort of an expert he was. So, he's just here to die. The naked burly man grinned. Perfected immortal Fei Yun frowned slightly and pouted. Where did this ant come from? Just as he was about to descend his spirit consciousness and kill Su Zimo suddenly took out something from his storage bag that emitted a rainbow glow. It was half a stalk of immortal ginseng. Although it was only half a stalk, it was filled with immense life force. The moment he took it out, the many injuries on the Thunder Emperor's body stopped bleeding. 7 glow immortal ginseng. Perfected immortal Fei Yun and the others focused their gazes and exclaimed. Actually, when Su Zimo obtained the 7 glow immortal ginseng back then, he only ate half of it because he thought that he might need it in the future. When he saw the Thunder Emperor again, Su Zimo decided to give the 7 glow immortal ginseng to the latter. Only the 7 glow immortal ginseng could heal the Thunder Emperor's injuries. The 7 glow immortal ginseng was a supreme utmost treasure that could revive the dead and regrow flesh. No matter how serious the injuries on the body were, it could recover everything to its original state. The moment the Thunder Emperor descended, he fought against the 5 perfected immortals and Su Zimo had no chance of approaching. Now that the Thunder Emperor was defeated and almost lost his combat strength, perfected immortal Jing Yu and the others let down their guard. Su Zimo made use of the True Dragon 9 flashes to arrive beside the Thunder Emperor and took out the 7 glow immortal ginseng. Actually, Su Zimo's action was almost certain death. Even if he could hand the 7 glow immortal ginseng to the Thunder Emperor, perfected immortal Jing Yu and the others would react right away and kill him to vent their anger. Su Zimo knew that there was no way back for this trip, but he still did not hesitate. He could not watch the Thunder Emperor die here. Even if his Green Lotus true body was gone, he still had the Martial Dao Prime body. However, there was only a single Thunder Emperor who wanted to establish an immortal kingdom and allow living beings from the lower worlds to ascend safely. Su Zimo. When Feng Zi saw Su Zimo flash out, she understood his intentions. Her eyes were filled with deep pain. The two of them had not known each other for long, but they were about to part forever. You. The moment the Thunder Emperor saw Su Zimo take out the 7 glow immortal ginseng, he understood Su Zimo's intentions. However, he also knew that Su Zimo was about to die. Against the encirclement of the 5 perfected immortals, Su Zimo's action was equivalent to challenging the might of the 5 perfected immortals. He was bound to die. Avenge me. Su Zimo's gaze was resolute as he stuffed the 7 glow immortal ginseng into the Thunder Emperor's hands and said those words. The Thunder Emperor took a deep breath and devoured half of the 7 glow immortal ginseng, roaring into the skies. His howl was filled with endless grief and killing intent. The 7 glow immortal ginseng melted in the Thunder Emperor's mouth and an unimaginably rich medicinal effect exploded in his body instantly, flowing through his limbs and bones and engulfing his organs. Kill him. Perfected immortal Fei Yun hollered softly. Attack. Perfected immortal Jing Yu had a calm expression and said, the Thunder Emperor is severely injured. Even if he devours the 7 glow immortal ginseng, it'll take him half a day to absorb and refine the medicinal effects and recover. Prince Yuanzhua burst into laughter. Su Zimo, oh Su Zimo, you've miscalculated. So what if Feng Cantian devoured the 7 glow immortal ginseng? If he doesn't have the time to refine it, he'll still die. A flash of blood appeared in midair. The red-headed beauty's head flew into the air as fresh blood spewed continuously. Her eyes were widened in confusion. Even after her death, she did not know what happened. One of the 5 perfected immortals died on the spot. A change happened on the battlefield. What's going on? The gray-robed perfected immortal's expression changed. There's people here. Perfected immortal Fei Yun hollered with a grim expression. Initially, perfected immortal Jing Yu and the other 4 wanted to attack and kill the Thunder Emperor. In fact, they did not even take Su Zimo seriously. As long as they attacked the Thunder Emperor, the remaining power of a perfected immortal expert's divine power was enough to kill Su Zimo. However, the red-headed beauty's sudden death alarmed the remaining 4 perfected immortals and they were on guard instinctively. Suddenly, perfected immortal Fei Yun's gaze froze as he looked behind the gray-robed perfected immortal and shouted, "Watch out!" The gray-robed perfected immortal felt his back turn cold as an aura of death enveloped him. Without hesitation, he lunged forward. A bloody hole appeared on his glabella. In the end, he was still a step too slow and his consciousness was penetrated, piercing his essence spirit and killing him. Chapter 2033, Burial Night. Chapter 2033, Burial Night. The battlefield changed rapidly. Nobody expected 2 of the 5 perfected immortal experts to die in succession in the blink of an eye. This change not only shocked Prince Yuan's side, even Su Zimo was stunned on the spot. Initially, he thought that he would definitely die. However, he had not expected the situation to change. Reveal your true form. Perfected immortal Jing Yu turned the ancient mirror in his hands and a blood beam burst forth from the mirror, shining behind the gray-robed perfected immortal. Even the latter was enveloped. The moment the gray-robed perfected immortal died, the blood-colored mirror light descended. The body of the gray-robed perfected immortal rotted rapidly, turning into a pool of blood. The figure behind him was enveloped by the blood light of the ancient mirror and revealed himself. It was a skinny old man with withered hair. His face was filled with wrinkles and there was nothing special about him. However, it was precisely this skinny old man who had just killed 2 perfected immortal experts. The strange thing was that Su Zimo had completely forgotten what the old man looked like the moment he closed his eyes. Even if he were to open his eyes and look again, he would forget what the old man looked like the moment he turned around. The image of the skinny old man had always been blurry and difficult to establish in his mind. What sort of a technique is this? Su Zimo was shocked. Master. Right then, Feng Zi exclaimed in joy when she saw who it was. Feng Zi's master. Su Zimo had heard Feng Zi mention a few times that her master was also one of the founders of Remnant Knight. In Remnant Knight, the Remnant character came from Feng Cantian 1 while the Knight character came from her master. It was clear of the skinny old man's status in Remnant Knight. It was no wonder why this old man could kill 2 perfected immortals in a flash. Feng Zi's assassination skills were imparted to her by this old man. How strong were his assassination methods? It was not an exaggeration to say that it was unfathomable. Perfected immortal Burial Night. Perfected immortal Jing Yu glared at the skinny old man and sneered, "You're not dead yet." Remnant Knight's leader? The naked burly man frowned slightly. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly, the Thunder Emperor reared his head in laughter and was invigorated. Old friend, you're here. The skinny old man glanced sideways at the Thunder Emperor and suppressed the excitement in his heart. His eyes were still emotionless and he merely nodded. Su Zimo was beside the Thunder Emperor. He could clearly sense the excitement in the Thunder Emperor's heart after seeing that person and his bloodline seemed like it was about to burn. Burial Night, let me introduce you to a young man. The Thunder Emperor pointed at Su Zimo in front of him and said, his name is Su Zimo. In the 10 Absolute Hell, he was the one who took the risk and cleared the 10 Absolute formation single-handedly to help me escape. Earlier on, he came to give me half of the 7 Glow Immortal Ginseng with the intention of dying. It's truly a joy in my life to be able to make such a righteous bro. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. In other words, the Thunder Emperor was implying that he was on par with him. What was the Thunder Emperor's cultivation realm, status, and reputation? Notwithstanding the fact that Su Zimo was only a grade 1 Earth immortal, how many perfected immortal experts could be worthy of the Thunder Emperor's attention? But now, the Thunder Emperor did not look down on Su Zimo at all and viewed him as someone who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. Perfected Immortal Burial Knight looked at Su Zimo and nodded slightly as well. What a man! Feng Zi was slightly stunned when she saw that. She knew her master's personality the best. His master had never praised anyone like this before, let alone a grade 1 Earth immortal he was meeting for the first time. Even with her talent and endowment, she had barely received any praise from her master all these years. The Thunder Emperor patted Su Zimo on the shoulder and smiled. Although you've never seen this skinny old man before, you should have heard of him. He was the one who founded Tianhuang Mainland's Hidden Death sect. I wondered if it's still around. Ah! Su Zimo exclaimed. This perfected Immortal Burial Knight was also from Tianhuang Mainland and was the progenitor of Hidden Death sect. Prince Yuan's expression was dark as he said coldly, "Old Dog Knight Burial, you came at the right time. If I kill you, the remnant knight you're backing will vanish into thin air as well. Leave Burial Knight to me. You guys deal with Feng Cantian." Perfected Immortal Fei Yun said coldly. Perfected Immortal Jing Yu said in a deep voice, "Burial Knight is also a Void Reversion Perfected Immortal. Be careful." Humph. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun smirked and mocked, "He's just an old dog on the brink of death. Even if he cultivates to the Void Reversion realm, he's nothing to be afraid of." Even Su Zimo could tell that Perfected Immortal Burial Knight was indeed in his twilight years and did not have much lifespan left. Those in their twilight years had weak blood chi and essence spirits, causing their combat strength to be greatly reduced. Furthermore, Perfected Immortal Burial Knight specialized in assassination, not head-on combat. Now that his tracks were exposed, it was indeed not optimistic if he were to clash with Perfected Immortal Fei Yun, who was at his peak. At that moment, the Thunder Emperor was still refining the 7 Glow Immortal Ginseng. The Thunder Emperor was severely injured. According to Perfected Immortal Jingyu, even with the 7 Glow Immortal Ginseng, it would take an entire half a day for the Thunder Emperor to recover. However, Perfected Immortal Fei Yun and the others would not give him that chance. Perfected Immortal Burial Knight arrived before the Thunder Emperor and Su Zimo in a flash. His intentions were clear. He wanted to do his best to buy time for the Thunder Emperor. Why? Perfected Immortal Fei Yun sneered, "An old dog like you wants to fight against the three of us?" Perfected Immortal Burial Knight remained silent and his hands quivered slightly. 2 daggers appeared in his palms. "Kill!" Perfected Immortal Jing Yu hollered softly. 3 perfected immortals attacked at the same time. Perfected Immortal Jing Yu's ancient mirror flew into the air and hovered with its surface facing down. Poof! Perfected Immortal Jing Yu bit his tongue gently and spat out a stream of essence blood onto the ancient mirror. The mirror shimmered and formed a blood-colored full moon that slashed towards Perfected Immortal Burial Knight. Phew! The naked burly man channeled his blood chi and his bloodline phenomenon condensed behind him. Wielding his bronze truncheons, he arrived before Perfected Immortal Burial Knight and swung the truncheons, causing the wind to howl. Swoosh! 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 Perfected Immortal Fei Yun did not hold back this time round either. His wide robes fluttered and a large number of cold beams flew out densely. Every single cold beam was a flying saber. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun had 10,800 flying sabers. Every single one of them was his destiny dermic treasure, and it was extremely draining to refine them. Every flying saber was a sentient dermic treasure. Their grades were not high and they were only grade 6 spirit treasures. However, the combination of 10,800 flying sabers could create various array formations and their power would increase exponentially. It was extremely terrifying. The flying sabers sped through the air and connected together in a mysterious manner, forming a saber formation. Saber chi rampaged within, and the ear-piercing sound of metal clashing could be heard, as though it could kill everything. Chapter 2034, End of the Road. Chapter 2034, End of the Road. The three perfected immortal experts attacked at the same time and released a flurry of attacks that seemed to set off raging tides that were suffocating. Perfected immortal Burial Knight's skinny figure was like a small boat in the surging waves that could be devoured at any moment. The current situation was different from before. The reason why perfected immortal Burial Knight could kill two perfected immortals in his twilight years with his battered body was mainly because he caught them off guard and made use of assassination methods. But now, he was facing the three perfected immortals head-on. More importantly, he could not retreat or dodge. That was because the Thunder Emperor and Su Zimo were behind him. Perfected immortal Burial Knight pursed his lips expressionlessly and remained silent, channeling the blood chi in his body. Splash! The sound of a tsunami sounded gradually and weakly. However, it did not last long before it declined. Perfected immortal Burial Knight was old. In the past, he even cultivated a bloodline phenomenon. But now, his blood chi could not even sustain the sound of a tsunami and gradually vanished. Darkness Devour. Steel Cavalry. Perfected immortal Burial Knight channeled his essence spirit and released two supreme divine powers in succession. Darkness descended and fought against the blood-colored full moon that was slashing down from midair. Although the darkness was vast, the blood-colored full moon advanced slowly in the darkness and gradually approached perfected immortal Burial Knight. Actually, although they were both perfected one-realm experts, perfected immortal Burial Knight was superior to perfected immortal Jingyu in terms of cultivation. However, in his twilight years, his combat strength was greatly reduced and he could not even defend against perfected immortal Jingyu's immortal art. The bronze truncheon of the naked burly man smashed down. Perfected immortal Burial Knight wielded his daggers and slashed upwards, blocking the bronze truncheon. Clang! Sparks flew. Perfected immortal Burial Knight shuddered and his initially skinny body seemed to have grown shorter. At the same time, a large group of heavenly troops appeared behind perfected immortal Burial Knight. Wielding metal spears, they rode on horses and galloped over for thousands of kilometers, colliding against perfected immortal Fei Yun's saber formation. Boom! There was a loud bang. When the heavenly troops entered the saber formation, they were minced into pieces. Broken limbs flew everywhere and the supreme divine power swayed. Clang! At the same time, the burly man's second truncheon smashed down and was blocked by perfected immortal Burial Knight once more. Perfected immortal Burial Knight's feet were already deeply embedded in the mud. His skinny body trembled slightly, but his hands that were holding the daggers were still unusually stable. Those were the hands of an assassin as well as a killer. No matter the pressure, his hands would not tremble. Let's see how much longer you can last. Perfected immortal Fei Yun hollered softly with a ferocious glint in his eyes. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and spat out a stream of true essence, scattering it on the saber formation at the front. Clang! Clang! The aura of the saber formation surged and its sharpness intensified, dispelling the supreme divine power, Steel Cavalry. Perfected immortal Burial Knight shuddered. The blood-colored full moon charged in as well, tearing through the darkness and slashing down. Die! The naked burly man grinned with a menacing expression and raised his bronze truncheon once more, drawing a perfect arc in midair. Coupled with his bloodline phenomenon, he smashed it towards the top of perfected immortal Burial Knight's head. Bury! Suddenly, perfected immortal Burial Knight freed his hand and his dagger drew a few mysterious arcs in midair, emitting a tragic, deadly and destructive aura. Unfortunately, before the arcs could be completed, perfected immortal Burial Knight could not continue and spat out a mouthful of blood. Even so, the imprints of the mysterious arcs condensed in midair and did not dissipate. They devoured the descending blood-colored full moon and vanished. A secret skill from the fiend domain? Perfected immortal Jingyu frowned slightly. At the same time, the bronze truncheon of the burly man descended. Perfected Immortal Burial Knight raised his dagger once more to defend. However, he was clearly extremely weak after releasing divine powers and secret skills consecutively to fight against the three perfected immortals. Clang! The dagger collided slightly with the bronze truncheon and was sent flying. Perfected Immortal Burial Knight's arm could not withstand the power surging from the bronze truncheon, and the sound of bones cracking could be heard as it slumped weakly. His arm was crippled. Given the capabilities of a perfected immortal, he could circulate his blood chi and recover his arm before long. However, Perfected Immortal Burial Knight could no longer even activate that power. Right now, he was indeed at the end of the road. With the intention of dying, Su Zimo gave the 7-glow immortal ginseng to the Thunder Emperor. Wasn't it the same for his trip here? Perfected Immortal Fei Yun's saber formation descended, and Perfected Immortal Burial Knight suddenly stabbed his own heart with his other hand. Poof! Hot blood spewed out from his chest and splattered on Perfected Immortal Fei Yun's saber formation. The saber formation was tainted by the blood of Perfected Immortal Burial Knight's heart, and its aura was greatly reduced. Green smoke billowed and trembled slightly. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun frowned slightly and sneered, "Puny tricks." Although the heart blood could affect his flying sabers, they were sentient and could be cleansed on their own. Before long, they would be cleansed of the blood stains. Perfected Immortal Burial Knight was already risking everything without holding back. His heart was shattered and he could no longer hold on. With a pale expression, he fell backwards. Prince Yuanzhua and the others heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that. Although Perfected Immortal Burial Knight was not dead, he was as good as half dead. As for the Thunder Emperor, he had not devoured the 7-glow immortal ginseng for long and was of no threat. Right then, a bronze square tripod suddenly descended from midair and smashed onto the saber formation. It was the Hell Suppression Tripod. Su Zimo was only a Grade 1 Earth Immortal after all. Even if he summoned the Hell Suppression Tripod, his strength was extremely weak. When he collided with the saber formation, it did not budge at all. Ha 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 ha. When Perfected Immortal Fei Yun saw that, he could not help but burst into laughter. He pointed at Su Zimo and mocked, "How dare a puny ant challenge the might of the heavens?" Before he could finish laughing, his expression changed. Although Su Zimo was not a threat when he summoned the power of the Hell Suppression Tripod, it was sentient to begin with. When it sensed the grade of the flying sabers, its opening turned and it began devouring the Grade 6 spirit treasures. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun was slightly distracted and dozens of flying sabers were devoured into the tripod. What's that? Perfected Immortal Fei Yun was alarmed and hurriedly controlled his spirit consciousness to pull the dozens of flying sabers out of the Hell Suppression Tripod. Su Zimo's expression darkened. Although the Hell Suppression Tripod could devour spirit treasures, it was still difficult for it to subdue spirit treasures with an owner present. Su Zimo, since I was the one who brought you out of the Essence Spirit Mine back then, I'll send you on your way today to sever this karma. Perfected Immortal Jing Yu looked down at Su Zimo from above. His spirit consciousness moved and the ancient mirror in midair descended, slashing towards Su Zimo. That was the power of a perfected immortal expert, and Su Zimo could not defend against it at all. Before he could react, the ancient mirror had already closed in. Clang! Suddenly, an ear-piercing sound exploded in his ears. Su Zimo was shocked and looked over instinctively. A gigantic spear tip extended from behind him and struck the ancient mirror. Senior Thunder Emperor. Delighted, Su Zimo turned around. The Thunder Emperor stood up slowly and wielded the startling evil spear. His gaze was like lightning as he looked at Perfected Immortal Jing Yu and the other two with a torrential battle intent. How is that possible? You. Perfected Immortal Jing Yu panicked in disbelief. You're right. It'll take at least half a day for my injuries to fully recover. However, the Thunder Emperor changed the topic and said slowly, "Why do I need to wait for my injuries to fully recover in order to kill the three of you?" Chapter 2035, Domineering Visual Technique. Chapter 2035, Domineering Visual Technique. At that moment, the wound on the Thunder Emperor's chest left behind by the execution saber was still extremely striking and had yet to heal. However, the rotting flesh around them fell off and new blood membranes appeared. Perfected immortal Jing Yu suddenly snapped out of his stupor when he saw that. A year ago, the Thunder Emperor was severely injured when he wreaked havoc in Absolute Thunder City. Even so, he killed 10 perfected immortals and crushed Absolute Thunder City before floating away. But now that the Thunder Emperor had obtained half of the 7 glow immortal ginseng, although he could not heal the injuries left behind by the execution saber for the time being, the injuries left by the heir of King Jin and the others earlier on had already healed. The Thunder Emperor might be right, he did not have to wait for his injuries to heal completely in order to kill the 3 of them. Prince Yuan's expression was terrible. This was initially a foolproof encirclement. However, due to various factors, an unpredictable change happened and changed the situation completely. Actually, Prince Yuan's plan was perfect. He had planned everything. In fact, even the arrival of perfected immortal burial knight could not stop his plan. Instead, he could take the opportunity to kill perfected immortal burial knight as well. With that, without a leader, Remnant Knight would be in a state of disunity and would be equivalent to being destroyed. However, no one expected that the current situation would reverse because of an insignificant grade 1 Earth Immortal. In a battle of this level, even Prince Yuan's and a commander of the Heaven Execution Guards could not interfere. Who would have thought that the intervention of an Earth Immortal would cause a series of changes? It was like the butterfly effect where a shocking storm was caused by the flapping of a butterfly's wings. Su Zimo. Prince Yuanzhua glared at Su Zimo fiercely with endless anger and hatred in his eyes. The jade talisman he wanted was occupied by this person. The clone that he had spent so much effort and time to cultivate was destroyed by this person as well. The trap that he had painstakingly set up was showing signs of spiraling out of control as well. At the end of the day, it was all because of this person. Your Highness, the situation is bad. The Heaven Execution Guard Commander, Lone Star, sent a voice transmission secretly. I'll protect you and leave this place first. No. Prince Yuanzhua had an indignant expression as he grit his teeth. I devised strategies and finally set up this trap. I refuse to believe that it'll be destroyed by the hands of a grade 1 Earth Immortal. Even if I can't kill the Thunder Emperor today, I'm going to tear Su Zimo into pieces. Although Prince Yuanzhua said that, Su Zimo was standing beside the Thunder Emperor and he did not dare to act rashly. The Thunder Emperor helped perfected immortal burial knight up and asked, Are you alright? I won't die just yet. Perfected immortal burial knight said expressionlessly. That's good. The Thunder Emperor smiled when he heard that. It's a rare reunion and I want to get drunk with you. I brought the wine. It's waiting for you. Perfected immortal burial knight replied. Ha 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 ha. The Thunder Emperor burst into laughter and the startling evil spear in his hands trembled as he walked towards perfected immortal Jing Yu and the other 2. Pretentious. Perfected immortal Fei Yun sneered and controlled the 10,800 flying sabers with both hands, saying coldly, I don't believe that you can fight 1 against 3 before you recover. Kill. Perfected immortal Fei Yun hollered softly. The 10,800 flying sabers gathered once more and intertwined continuously, forming a gigantic saber. Every single inch of the saber had a blade that was extremely sharp. Swoosh. The saber slashed down. At the same time, perfected immortal Jing Yu took out another dermic treasure from his storage bag. It was a golden gourd that was tossed into the air. The bottle stopper fell and a golden light shone from the mouth of the gourd, enveloping the Thunder Emperor. Wielding his bronze truncheons, the barefooted burly man advanced once more, prepared to fight the Thunder Emperor in melee combat. Humph. Lightning blazed in the Thunder Emperor's eyes and suddenly burst forth, arriving instantly. The naked burly man's expression changed starkly. Although it was only a single gaze, the naked burly man could sense the wrath of thunder and smell the aura of death from the Thunder Emperor's gaze. The naked burly man stopped in his tracks hurriedly and crossed his truncheons to defend. Boom! The lightning gaze struck the intersection of the two truncheons and let out a loud bang. The naked burly man shuddered and was sent flying, landing heavily on the ground. A destructive power of thunder surged over like a tsunami. The bloodline phenomenon behind him could not withstand the sea of lightning and dissipated instantly. His body was filled with electric arcs as well, and he endured immense pain. He convulsed slightly and blood scars appeared on the surface of his skin. That lightning gaze almost exploded his body. If not for his bloodline phenomenon that blocked most of the power of thunder, he would most likely have died by now. A single gaze was enough to scare the naked burly man out of his wits. He was in no mood to fight and was prepared to get up and escape. After all, he was only a guest of the great Jin immortal kingdom and did not have to risk his life to fight the Thunder Emperor. Die. Right then, the Thunder Emperor's voice sounded in his ears. The lightning in the Thunder Emperor's eyes condensed to their limits once more and burst forth in an incomparably blinding manner. A second gaze descended. The power of thunder on the naked burly man had yet to dissipate completely, and his movements were a little sluggish to begin with. Furthermore, that gaze descended almost instantly. Even if he wanted to dodge, he could not. Ah! The naked burly man shouted. Boom! The lightning gaze struck him and the loud bang drowned his roar. Right in front of everyone, the naked burly man's body was shattered by that gaze. Before his essence spirit could escape, it was drowned in the lightning. Two gazes killed a perfected immortal. The surrounding cultivators were shocked. None of them had ever seen such a domineering visual technique. None of the cultivators present were from the same era as the Thunder Emperor. Everyone's understanding of the Thunder Emperor only existed in some fragmented rumors and was extremely vague. It was only now that many cultivators truly understood the weight of the word Supreme Perfected Immortal after witnessing the Thunder Emperor's methods. Right now, the Thunder Emperor was still injured. If he was in his peak condition, how terrifying would he be? Nobody could imagine. After the death of the naked burly man, the cultivators gathered by Prince Yuanzhua were already in chaos and wanted to leave this place. If the Thunder Emperor turned to look at them, which of them could survive? After the two gazes killed the burly man, the golden light released by perfected immortal Jing Yu's golden gourd descended and shone on the Thunder Emperor. At the same time, the saber formed by perfected immortal Fei Yun's 10,800 flying sabers slashed down. Lightning surged around the Thunder Emperor and a sea of lightning seemed to condense around him, confronting the golden light above his head. He raised the startling evil spear and stabbed without any fancy moves. Clang! Sparks flew as the spear and saber collided. The entire soaring Dragon Mountain range seemed to tremble. Chapter 2036, Not to be Challenged. Chapter 2036, Not to be Challenged. Perfected immortal Fei Yun released his full strength this time round. The sound of a tsunami echoed from his body as he channeled his blood qi to its limits. Every single flying saber contained his true essence. Even so, his saber could not break through the obstruction of the startling evil spear. Your Highness, run! Perfected immortal Jing Yu took advantage of the moment when he joined forces with perfected immortal Fei Yun to hold back the Thunder Emperor temporarily and suddenly shouted. He had already sensed that the situation was bad and wanted Yuanzhua to leave first. On the surface, the two of them held back the Thunder Emperor and it was difficult to determine the victor. However, as time passed by, the medicinal effects of the seven glow immortal ginseng were gradually refined in the Thunder Emperor's body. His injuries healed continuously and his combat strength would increase as well. At that time, both of them would definitely lose. I'm not leaving. In the end, Prince Yuanzhua was indignant and turned around. He looked at Feng Zi at the side and suddenly reached out to grab her. Feng Cantian, your granddaughter is in my hands. Hurry and surrender. Prince Yuanzhua laughed sinisterly. Feng Zi was suppressed by the spirit consciousness of the Heaven Execution Guard, Lone Star, the entire time and could not escape. At that moment, she did not even have the strength to resist when Prince Yuanzhua attacked her. The Thunder Emperor was enraged when he saw that. However, he was held back by perfected immortal Jing Yu and perfected immortal Fei Yun. Indeed, he could not split himself and could not save Feng Zi. Although perfected immortal Burial Knight was not dead, his heart was shattered and he was severely injured. His combat strength was almost completely gone and he was helpless as well. If Feng Zi were to fall into the hands of Prince Yuanzhua, the Thunder Emperor would definitely be wary and the outcome of today's battle would be unpredictable. Boom! Right then, a tremendous might descended and an incomparably gigantic beast appeared in front of Feng Zi. The gigantic beast had two heads, a turtle and snake coiling around one another. Carrying a shell on its back, its four legs were like heavenly piercing pillars and it roared into the skies with a dignified gaze. Prince Yuanzhua's palm did not manage to grab Feng Zi. Instead, it landed on the shell on the turtle and snake's back. Pust. When his fingertip collided with the tough and rough turtle shell, he felt a sharp pain and Prince Yuanzhua could not help but gasp. Buzz! There were complicated marks on the turtle shell, as though it contained the secrets and true meaning of the universe, emitting rays of light. Prince Yuanzhua could not dodge in time and his palm was pierced by the light, dripping with blood. Ah! Prince Yuanzhua cried out in pain and retreated. The Heaven Execution Guard commander, Lone Star, hurried forward and looked at the gigantic beast beneath him with a grim expression. Prince Yuanzhua flung his palm. He was a grade 9 heaven immortal. Although his palm was pierced, it was only a superficial wound. His blood qi surged and he recovered in the blink of an eye. Where did this beast come from? Prince Yuanzhua cursed. That looks like the sacred beast, the black tortoise. Lone Star said slowly. What? Prince Yuanzhua was shocked. Sacred beasts were living beings that only existed in legends. Even his father, King Jin, might not have seen them before, let alone him. The black tortoise came from the third tripod wall of the Hell Suppression Tripod. When Su Zimo saw that Feng Zi was in danger, he summoned the black tortoise sacred soul without hesitation. Under Su Zimo's control, the black tortoise sacred soul was initially only blocking in front of Feng Zi. However, when it heard the words beast, its eyes suddenly revealed a killing intent and the light on its turtle shell became even more blinding. The black tortoise was enraged. What was the bloodline and existence of a sacred beast? Even the dragon and phoenix races, the leaders of all living beings in the upper world, had to bow down to them. But now, someone called it a beast. Even if it was only a sacred soul and was not a true sacred beast, its dignity was not to be challenged. Roar! The black tortoise sacred soul moved its limbs and a large mist surrounded it, forming a deep blue sea. It crossed the sea and charged towards Prince Yuanzhua. Protect His Highness! Lone Star shouted hurriedly and attacked first. The other cultivators in the surroundings, be it earth immortals or heaven immortals, attacked the black tortoise sacred soul as well. In the chaos, no one cared about Feng Zi anymore. Su Zimo made use of the true dragon 9 flashes and flashed twice in succession, bringing Feng Zi away from the spot and running behind the Thunder Emperor. When he saw that, the Thunder Emperor was relieved. Flying Cloud Strike. Suddenly, perfected immortal Fei Yun hollered and channeled his spirit consciousness. His glabella shone and an essence spirit secret skill burst forth, attacking the Thunder Emperor. On the other side, perfected immortal Jing Yu released his essence spirit secret skill as well. When the two essence spirit secret skills descended, the Thunder Emperor did not dodge or avoid. In fact, he did not even activate his essence spirit secret skill to retaliate. Instead, he allowed the two essence spirit secret skills to surge into his consciousness. We did it. Perfected immortal Fei Yun was ecstatic when he saw that. As long as the Thunder Emperor's essence spirit was injured, his strength would decrease significantly and he would definitely die. However, perfected immortal Jingyu had a grim expression and did not smile at all. He had witnessed the Thunder Emperor's methods in Absolute Thunder City. The Thunder Emperor was not stupid or crazy. Since he dared to endure their essence spirit's secret skills with his consciousness, he definitely had a way of dispelling them. In reality, perfected immortal Jingyu was not wrong. In the Thunder Emperor's consciousness, because his Tao fruit was shattered, he took advantage of the situation for the past hundreds of thousands of years and condensed a sea of lightning. He would replace the position of the Tao fruit with the sea of lightning and rebuild after it was destroyed. His injuries had yet to recover. However, if he could recover completely, he would be much stronger than his combat strength hundreds of thousands of years ago with the power of the Sea of Lightning. The Sea of Lightning in his consciousness had many uses. One of them was to devour essence spirit's secret skills and absorb and refine the power of the other party's essence spirit to strengthen the Sea of Lightning. Therefore, when the two essence spirit's secret skills of perfected immortal Jingyu and Su Zimo entered the Thunder Emperor's glabella, they were devoured by the Sea of Lightning. Not only was the Thunder Emperor not injured, his spirit consciousness expanded instead. Spirit Vanquishing Whip. The Thunder Emperor touched his glabella gently with one hand and withdrew a whip that was surrounded by lightning in his consciousness, whipping perfected immortal Jingyu and perfected immortal Fei Yun. The two of them were shocked and dodged hurriedly. The Thunder Emperor's blood chi intensified and he broke free from the restraints of the golden gourd in midair instantly. As for perfected immortal Fei Yun, he was slightly distracted when the Thunder Emperor seized the opportunity to release his blood chi and endless lightning burst forth from the startling evil spear. Boom! There was a loud bang. The 10,800 sabers were dispersed by the startling evil spear instantly. Crack! 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 Tao cracks appeared on the blades of every flying saber. Without a saber formation, a grade 6 spirit treasure could not defend against the 9 tribulations pure yang startling evil spear. With a single spear strike, 10,800 sabers shattered into countless shards that scattered on the ground. Perfected immortal Fei Yun shuddered and his face turned pale as his gaze dimmed. The destiny dermic treasures that he had painstakingly refined were all crippled by the Thunder Emperor. His mind was implicated and he suffered a huge blow as well. Chapter 2037, Slaying a Perfected Immortal. Chapter 2037, Slaying a Perfected Immortal. Perfected immortal Fei Yun glared at the Thunder Emperor fiercely with bloodshot eyes. He was a legacy disciple of one of the 4 immortal sects, Imperial Wind Temple. Furthermore, he was a paragon among the legacy disciples and was extremely famous in the Divine Firmament immortal domain. There was no way he could endure such a failure. He did not believe that with his talent and combat strength, he would lose to someone who had a shattered Tao fruit and was severely injured. Blade Storm. Perfected immortal Fei Yun channeled his essence spirit recklessly and released a killing secret skill of Imperial Wind Temple. Using true essence as the foundation, the secret skill condensed into endless sharp blades that spun and gathered continuously. Finally, they formed an apocalyptic storm that could sweep through all living beings and tear everything apart. The richer the true essence and the more sharp blades condensed, the stronger the secret skill. Now, under the control of perfected immortal Fei Yun, the many flying saber shards that fell to the ground turned into cold beams of light and surged into the storm. The blade storm became even more terrifying and devoured towards the Thunder Emperor. The Thunder Emperor swung the spirit vanquishing whip in his hands towards the blade storm. Piak! The spirit vanquishing whip collided with it and shattered on the spot. Not far away, perfected immortal Fei Yun swayed slightly and his eyes dimmed. Suddenly, his aura turned extremely weak. The power of the spirit vanquishing whip could descend directly into the essence spirit. However, he managed to endure it eventually. Because his essence spirit was damaged, the blade storm paused for a moment as well. Right then, the Thunder Emperor did not dodge or avoid. Instead, he advanced and charged into the blade storm with a single step, arriving at the center. Dense wounds appeared on the Thunder Emperor's body from the storm. However, the deepest of those injuries merely tore through his flesh and could not injure his bones. The Thunder Emperor created the Void Thunder Manual, and his thunder bones were incomparably tough and unshakable. Under the powerful blood chi of the Thunder Emperor and the medicinal effects of the 7-glow immortal ginseng, those external injuries stopped bleeding in the blink of an eye and began to heal. The Thunder Emperor's blood chi rose continuously, and he stood in the middle of the blade storm. Lightning surrounded his body, and he was mighty and unmoved. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun was shocked when he saw that. The blade storm of Imperial Wind Temple was extremely powerful, and few secret skills could take it head-on. However, the blade storm was not without weaknesses. The center of the storm was the weakness of the secret skill. However, even if someone knew about that weakness, it was useless. Those people were minced before they could enter the center of the storm. But now, Perfected Immortal Fei Yun witnessed a person barge into the center of the storm with his body and stand right in the eye of the storm. Who do you think you are? How dare you challenge me? The Thunder Emperor's gaze was like lightning as he hollered and smashed the startling evil spear in his hands heavily against the ground. Boom! The entire soaring Dragon Mountain range shook. A blinding thunderbolt burst forth from the startling evil spear and engulfed the blade storm instantly. The flying saber shards were shattered into dust by the startling evil spear's berserk power and scattered in midair. The blade storm was destroyed by a single move from the Thunder Emperor. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun finally lowered his head. He could not help but admit that the difference between the two of them was way too great. Previously, he even boasted that if the Thunder Emperor was born in the same era as him, the latter would not be able to obtain the glory of the Supreme Perfected Immortal. Now that he thought about it, it was truly laughable. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun swiped his storage bag and took out a teleportation talisman. He tore it apart and prepared to leave. The void behind him suddenly collapsed and a gigantic dark tunnel appeared. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun's figure disappeared within. Trying to flee? The Thunder Emperor sneered and vanished from the spot in a flash. Buzz! The startling evil spear arrived instantly, and its gigantic spearhead shone with the light of thunder as it streaked through the void, as though the entire world was trembling in sorrow. A blood beam burst forth from the dark tunnel. The Thunder Emperor raised his startling evil spear, and Perfected Immortal Fei Yun's figure was sent flying from the spatial tunnel. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun did not dare to let his essence spirit leave his body in the spatial tunnel either. Without the protection of his body, even the essence spirit of a perfected immortal could not withstand the pressure of the spatial tunnel. A gigantic hole appeared in Perfected Immortal Fei Yun's chest because of the startling evil spear, and blood gushed out like a fountain. The startling evil spear was a pure yang spirit treasure, and the power of thunder that surrounded it was adhered to the wound. Even Perfected Immortal Fei Yun, who could be reborn with a drop of blood, would not be able to heal the wound within a short period of time. Feng Cantian, you can't kill me. Perfected Immortal Fei Yun endured the pain and grit his teeth. I'm from Imperial Wind Temple. Before Perfected Immortal Fei Yun could finish, the Thunder Emperor stabbed in reverse and pierced his glabella, destroying his essence spirit on the spot. I'll kill you even if you're a legacy disciple of Imperial Wind Temple. The Thunder Emperor sneered, you're way too naive to think that you can suppress me with Imperial Wind Temple. Who was Feng Cantian back then? The person who almost established an immortal kingdom in the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain and almost became a king after entering the Grotto Heaven realm. He could fight against immortal kings and look down on Divine Firmament Palace, even breaking off ties with the upper world factions of the entire Divine Firmament Immortal Domain. How could he fear the reputation of Imperial Wind Temple? On the other side, Prince Yuanzhua and Lone Star joined forces with many Green Cloud County Earth and Heaven Immortal Guards to shatter the Black Tortoise Sacred Soul before long. Although the Black Tortoise Sacred Soul was strong, it could only defeat a top-tier Heaven Immortal expert. It could not withstand the encirclement of so many Heaven Immortal experts at all. The moment the Black Tortoise's sacred soul shattered was the moment the Thunder Emperor dispelled the Blade Storm. When Prince Yuanzhua saw that the situation was bad, he had no choice but to leave in regret. The other cultivators dispersed as well, afraid that they would be killed by the Thunder Emperor. Even perfected immortal Jing Yu had already escaped from this place when he saw perfected immortal Fei Yun defeated. He ran to the horizon and was almost about to disappear from everyone's line of sight. The Thunder Emperor glared at perfected immortal Jing Yu with a cold expression. "Don't go." Just as the Thunder Emperor was about to chase after perfected immortal Jing Yu, perfected immortal Burial Knight suddenly spoke and shook his head gently. "We can't linger here. Those two can catch up at any moment. You can't defeat them yet." The Thunder Emperor narrowed his eyes slightly and took a deep breath, gradually calming down. Of the two people mentioned by perfected immortal Burial Knight, one was the heir of King Jin, King Ungshi, and the other was King Tianqing. Those were two immortal kings. For the past year, he had not been able to escape the pursuit of the two immortal kings completely. Even if his injuries recovered, it would be difficult for him to fight against immortal kings, let alone the fact that he had yet to recover. Prince Yuanzhua had clearly hidden this plan from the heir of King Jin and King Tianqing. However, the news of such an intense battle in the soaring Dragon Mountain range could not be hidden for long. Given the methods of immortal kings, they could release major transference to tear through the void and teleport far away. If the heir of King Jin and King Tianqing knew about this, they would arrive here within a few breaths. At that time, not only him, even perfected immortal Burial Knight, Su Zimo, and Feng Zi would die here. Let's leave first. The Thunder Emperor picked up the storage bag of the naked burly man and said in a deep voice. Perfected immortal Burial Knight took out a teleportation talisman and tore it apart, revealing a spatial tunnel beside it. The Thunder Emperor protected Su Zimo and Feng Zi and entered the tunnel with perfected immortal Burial Knight, disappearing. Peace returned to the soaring Dragon Mountain range. Chapter 2038, Thunder Jade Pendant. Chapter 2038, Thunder Jade Pendant. Great Jin Immortal Kingdom, Solar Luna County. In a dense forest outside Sanyu City, the mountains were continuous and the walls were extremely steep. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the void above a mountain peak and four figures descended. They were the Thunder Emperor, perfected immortal Burial Knight, Su Zimo and Feng Zi. "Where am I?" Su Zimo descended and looked around. Perfected immortal Burial Knight took out a map and compared it carefully. After pondering for a moment, he said, "Given the teleportation distance of this major transference talisman, we must have already left the range of Green Cloud County. This should be Solar Luna County, somewhere near Sanyu City. We're safe for the time being. Thank you, old friend." The Thunder Emperor patted perfected immortal Burial Knight on the shoulder and said emotionally, "It's been more than 400,000 years since we last met. I'm old now." Perfected immortal Burial Knight said softly. To begin with, he did not have much lifespan left. Now that he was severely injured after this battle, his remaining lifespan must have been cut significantly further. Even if he recuperates in the future, he might not be able to live for long. Perfected immortals had a lifespan of 500,000 years. If not for the fact that the Thunder Emperor was half a step into the Grotto Heaven realm back then and his lifespan had increased to 1,000,000 years, he should be similar to perfected immortal Burial Knight by now. Both of them came from Tianhuang mainland and ascended together back then. They fought countless battles side by side and experienced life and death. This was a feeling that no one else could understand. "I'm sorry." As though he recalled something, perfected immortal Burial Knight's tone turned deep as he said, "I didn't take good care of Yunzhou." Feng Yunzhou was the Thunder Emperor's only son and Feng Zi's father. Yunzhou, that child. The Thunder Emperor had a dejected expression and his eyes revealed a deep sadness. "How did he die?" After a long silence, the Thunder Emperor asked. For the past year, the Thunder Emperor had only heard some fragmented news and knew that his son was killed by the heir of King Jin. However, he did not know the details. Perfected immortal Burial Knight glanced at Feng Zi and hesitated for a moment before recounting the past. After the Thunder Emperor was suppressed, perfected Immortal Burial Knight, and Feng Yunzhou, established Remnant Knight. Under the lead of the two of them, they often looked for trouble with the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and took revenge fanatically with endless assassination attempts. In the most serious case, a county governor of the Great Jin dynasty was assassinated, causing the Immortal Kingdom to be shaken, and King Jin was enraged. Thereafter, the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom obtained news from somewhere and captured Lu Xuanzu, Feng Yunzhou's Dao companion and Feng Zi's mother. The heir of King Jin made use of this opportunity to force Feng Yunzhou to appear and fight openly. Both of them were perfected immortal experts at that time and were even peerless monster incarnates among perfected immortals. This battle was also watched by everyone. It was an earth-shaking battle, and even the world lost its luster. In the end, Feng Yunzhou was the one who gained the upper hand. Seeing that the prince of King Jin was in a critical situation, an execution guard of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom deliberately suppressed Lu Xuanzu and killed her in front of Feng Yunzhou. At that point, perfected Immortal Burial Knight sighed gently and could not continue. At the side, Feng Zi was already in tears. Su Zimo was silent. There was no room for distraction in a fight between top cultivators. A single mistake could result in victory and death. It was impossible to imagine the psychological impact on Feng Yunzhou as he watched the execution guard kill Lu Xuanzu. It was naturally not hard to imagine that Feng Yunzhou would be defeated and killed. Su Zimo looked at Feng Zi. Back then, this woman saw her parents suffer such a vicious attack with her own eyes. It must have left an irrecoverable wound in her heart. At that moment, Su Zimo suddenly understood her coldness, her guardedness, her reticence, and her fearlessness towards death. Feng Zi did not trust anyone and was guarded. It was not only because she had cultivated the Tao of assassination, but also because she had suffered such a huge blow in the past. No matter how severely injured Feng Zi was, she did not seem to feel any pain and was expressionless the entire time. Perhaps it was because any pain was far less than a fraction of the pain in her heart. Suddenly, Su Zimo felt a sense of pity for Feng Zi. The Thunder Emperor grit his teeth and gripped his fists so tightly that his knuckles turned white. He tried his best to catch his breath before calming down. After being suppressed for more than 400,000 years, he had experienced and endured too much as well. Nothing could shake his heart anymore. The Thunder Emperor turned around and merely looked at Feng Zi opposite him emotionally. His heart ached and he was at a loss as his eyes reddened. Feng Zi's expression was extremely complicated as well, as though she did not dare to meet the Thunder Emperor's gaze. She opened her mouth, as though she wanted to say something. However, she could not bring herself to address him. After all, this was the first actual meeting between the two of them. Are you really the child of Yunzhou and Xuanzu? The Thunder Emperor's voice trembled. He had been suppressed in the 10 Absolute Hell for more than 400,000 years and did not know of Feng Zi's existence at all. Feng Zi nodded in a small and imperceptible manner. She opened her mouth again and called out softly, "Grandpa." Although the voice was soft, it was extremely clear in the Thunder Emperor's ears, causing his heart to skip a beat. He hurried forward and hugged Feng Zi, saying tragically, "Good child, good child." Actually, back in the 10 Absolute Hell, the Thunder Emperor noticed Feng Zi's existence. In fact, he could sense an inexplicable familiarity from Feng Zi. However, he had just escaped and was fighting against many perfected immortals and was in no mood to think about such things. When perfected Immortal Burial Knight saw that, he smiled in a rare manner and said, "Now that I've seen you guys reunite, I can finally rest easy and die without regrets. I'll leave Z in your care from now on." When he heard that, the Thunder Emperor shuddered and separated from Feng Zi, as though he recalled something. The Thunder Emperor first took out 2 jade pendants from his storage bag and placed them on his glabella. He injected a power of thunder and gave them to Su Zimo and Feng Zi. "Take this jade pendant with you," the Thunder Emperor said. Although Su Zimo was puzzled, he still hung the jade pendant on his waist. The Thunder Emperor said, "The two of you have already escaped but were found by the execution guards because a commander of the Heaven Execution Guards know a tracking technique. This tracking technique uses fresh blood as a medium and is known as the blood guidance secret skill. As long as your bloodline is leaked, the other party will control it to track you down." Su Zimo's eyes revealed a look of realization. It was no wonder why they were quickly found by Prince Yuanzhua despite their escape. It was because the two of them were injured in the main hall of the prince's residence and their bloodlines were leaked. Although this jade pendant is ordinary, it contains my thunder aura and can sever the power of the blood guidance secret skill. You guys have to carry it with you at all times. The Thunder Emperor instructed, "When your cultivation realms reach a certain level like the Heaven Essence realm, you can remove this jade pendant." Chapter 2039, True Opponent. Chapter 2039, True Opponent. Suddenly, the Thunder Emperor's mood darkened. He stood on the peak and looked into the distance with a conflicted expression in silence. A long time later, the Thunder Emperor said softly, "I'm about to leave Divine Firmament Mainland." Feng Zi said hurriedly, "Grandpa, where are you going?" "We'll go together. You're the true soul of Remnant Knight." Perfected Immortal Burial Knight said, "Remnant Knight will be wherever you are." The Thunder Emperor shook his head gently. "You guys can't follow me." "Why not?" Feng Zi had already guessed the answer when she asked that question. The Thunder Emperor sighed gently. "I'm the target of King Ungshi and King Tianqing. If you stay by my side, you can die at any moment. We can only survive if I separate from you guys." Perfected Immortal Burial Knight had known the Thunder Emperor for many years and quickly understood what he meant. The Thunder Emperor might not be able to escape from the hands of two immortal kings alone. If he brought Perfected Immortal Burial Knight and Feng Zi along, it would be inconvenient for them to move and they would be a greater target. At that time, the three of them would die. Su Zimo pondered for a moment and asked, "Senior Thunder Emperor, what if you can break through to the Grotto Heaven realm and become an immortal king? Will you be able to suppress King Ungshi and King Tianqing? Will you no longer have to escape? Become a king after advancing to the Grotto Heaven realm?" The Thunder Emperor smiled and shook his head. "It's not that easy to step into the Grotto Heaven realm and become an immortal king. Because of the help of your 7 glow immortal ginseng this time round, I'll be able to recover after recuperating for a period of time. However, back then, I failed to become a king. If I want to attempt to break through to the Grotto Heaven realm again, the difficulty will increase by 100, 1,000 times. If I don't have any great opportunities, I might not be able to break through to the Grotto Heaven realm in my lifetime." Su Zimo remained silent in pity. Although the Thunder Emperor escaped, the unforeseen event back then still caused him irreparable damage. Just for the long period of time that he was suppressed in the 10 Absolute Hell for more than 400,000 years, who could compensate him? The Thunder Emperor continued, "Furthermore, even if I can advance to the Grotto Heaven realm and become a king, I have to leave this place. My opponents are not just 1 or 2 immortal kings." The Thunder Emperor hesitated. King Ungshi and King Tianqing were backed by the entire Great Jin Immortal Kingdom. Even if the Thunder Emperor was conferred the title of king, he was weak alone and it would be difficult for him to fight against an immortal kingdom. "Where are you going?" Perfected Immortal Burial Knight asked, "Which of the 9 immortal domains is it? Or is it Lin Zhan's place?" Lin Zhan was the human emperor. Pausing for a moment, Perfected Immortal Burial Knight continued, "However, I heard that for some reason, Lin Zhan was severely injured thousands of years ago. He originally had a chance to advance to the Emperor realm. Because of that injury, he lost the chance to become an immortal emperor. I wonder if he's recovered now." When he heard that, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. Thousands of years ago? Could it be the time when the human emperor descended? Su Zimo recounted the 10,000 race meet in Tianhuang mainland hurriedly. The Thunder Emperor and Perfected Immortal Burial Knight were moved when they heard that. Lin Zhan is truly worthy of his title as the Eternal Human Emperor. Perfected Immortal Burial Knight lamented. The Thunder Emperor sighed. If one forcefully descends to the lower world without reaching the Emperor realm, they will definitely suffer a backlash from the heaven and earth laws. It might be difficult for them to recover from such an injury for the rest of their lives. In fact, it'll be extremely difficult if they want to become an emperor ever again. At that time, the human emperor descended upon Tianhuang mainland and his body was destroyed by the heaven and earth laws, leaving with severe injuries. Su Zimo had not imagined that the human emperor's descent would have such a huge impact on him, such that he missed the chance to become an immortal emperor. Even so, the human emperor did not hesitate and descended upon Tianhuang mainland, turning the tides to save the human race from danger. It was only at that moment that Su Zimo realized how much the human emperor had paid to descend. According to the Thunder Emperor, there was a high chance that the damage caused by the heaven and earth laws would accompany the human emperor for the rest of his life and he would never have the chance to advance to the emperor realm in the future. The Thunder Emperor shook his head. Lin Zhan can't protect me. If I go to his place, I'll implicate him instead. At that point, Su Zimo could not help but ask, although the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom is powerful, it's only in the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain. Could King Jin's reach extend so far? Do you really think that King Jin is the only one who wants me dead? The Thunder Emperor asked instead. Su Zimo was momentarily stunned. The Thunder Emperor had a dejected expression and smiled. Back then, I was in seclusion in Divine Firmament Palace and was prepared to break through to the perfected immortal realm and step into the Grotto Heaven realm. Without that person's silent approval, King Tianqing would not have had a chance at all and he would not have dared to attack me. Su Zimo opened his mouth slightly in shock and realization. Although the Thunder Emperor did not say it explicitly, the person he was referring to should be the master of the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain, the Divine Firmament Immortal Emperor. Feng Zi had once said that the Thunder Emperor was like the sun in the midday skies back then and obtained the position of a supreme perfected immortal. He was even taken in by the Divine Firmament Immortal Emperor. In other words, the Thunder Emperor was considered as the disciple of the Divine Firmament Immortal Emperor. If not for the acquiescence of the Divine Firmament Immortal Emperor, how would King Tianqing dare to attack the disciple of the Immortal Emperor in Divine Firmament Palace? The Thunder Emperor was severely injured and his Tao fruit shattered, suppressed in the 10 Absolute Hell. With King Jin ascending the throne and establishing the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom, King Tianqing was also placed in an important position. Neither of them received any punishment. That further confirmed the Thunder Emperor's guess. Earlier on, the Thunder Emperor said that his opponents were not one or two immortal kings. He hesitated and did not continue. Now, Su Zimo realized that the Thunder Emperor was not only facing the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom, but also the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain or even an unimaginably massive faction. The Thunder Emperor's grand wish triggered the interests of all the native immortals of the upper world and shook their foundation. Therefore, the Thunder Emperor had to die. In that case, the Thunder Emperor might not even be able to reside in the entire 9 Firmament Immortal Domain, let alone the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain. Where are you going? Perfected Immortal Burial Knight asked. Pure Land of Bliss? The heavenly world was divided into 3 major regions, the 9 Firmament Immortal Domain, the Pure Land of Bliss and the Fiend Domain. In the middle was a sacred tree that connected everything to form a gigantic world. There were mostly immortal cultivators in the 9 Firmament Immortal Domain. As for the Pure Land of Bliss, most of them were monks. The Fiend Domain was filled with Fiend sect cultivators. Given my situation, I'm afraid the Pure Land of Bliss won't be able to accommodate me either. The Thunder Emperor pondered for a moment and a decisive look flashed through his eyes. I'm prepared to head to the Fiend Domain. Fiend Domain. Perfected Immortal Burial Knight was alarmed. Most of the cultivators in the Fiend Domain are evil and bloodthirsty, doing everything according to their wishes while being completely unreasonable. There are dangers everywhere and every step is dangerous. If you go there. Foo-foo. The Thunder Emperor smiled. On the surface, the 9 Firmament Immortal Domain is filled with righteous gentlemen. However, that's all there is to what they do. The lives taken by the hands of these immortal cultivators are no less than those of the fiend domain. Su Zimo nodded to himself. Everything else aside, the fact that they forced 10,000 living beings of the lower worlds to kill one another in the hunting meet just for their entertainment was enough to send chills down one's spine. Furthermore, from what I know, not everyone from the fiend domain is evil. The Thunder Emperor continued, there are also cultivators like me who are not tolerated by the immortal and Buddhist Taoists and can only head to the fiend domain to cultivate. Chapter 2040, Heir of King Jin. Chapter 2040, Heir of King Jin. When the few of them saw that the Thunder Emperor was determined, they did not persuade him further. Furthermore, be it perfected immortal burial knight or Feng Zi, both knew that the Thunder Emperor only had a chance of survival after leaving the divine firmament immortal domain. If he continued to linger here, he would definitely die. Although the Thunder Emperor had already made up his mind, he did not leave immediately. He merely looked at perfected immortal burial knight and Feng Zi quietly with reluctance. He had just reunited with Feng Zi. If not for the circumstances, why would he have made up his mind to leave? Perfected immortal burial knight said, to think that we would have to part again after being separated for more than 400,000 years. Leave in peace. I'll strive to live a few more years and help you take care of Zi. Thank you, brother. The Thunder Emperor nodded. Perfected immortal burial knight took out a jar of strong wine from his storage bag and slapped away the mud seal, prepared to pour a few bowls to bid farewell to the Thunder Emperor. It's way too pretentious to drink from a bowl. The Thunder Emperor waved his hand and said, take out 4 jars. It'll only be satisfying if the 4 of us have one each. All right. Perfected immortal burial knight said, apart from you, I'm afraid no one will drink with me in the future. As he said that, he took out 3 jars of strong wine and distributed them to Su Zimo and Feng Zi. Come, brother Su. The Thunder Emperor looked at Su Zimo and raised his wine jar, shouting. Senior Thunder Emperor. Su Zimo picked up the wine jar hurriedly. The Thunder Emperor's expression turned stiff as he said, Brother Su, why are you still calling me senior? You're being too polite. You and I have the same feelings and personalities. You can just call me your brother. How can I? Su Zimo declined hurriedly. Be it in Tianhuang mainland, the upper world or in terms of cultivation realm, the Thunder Emperor was his senior no matter what. Feng Zi frowned as well. If Su Zimo was on par with the Thunder Emperor, wouldn't she be a status lower for no reason? The Thunder Emperor burst into laughter and patted Su Zimo on the shoulder. All those seniority rules are bullshit. They are nothing in my eyes. If I like someone, I'll befriend them. If I don't like them, it doesn't matter even if they're an immortal emperor. Brother Su, if you don't mind, drink this jar of wine. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat when he heard the Thunder Emperor's heroic words. His blood qi surged as he shouted, all right, Brother Feng, I'll toast you. Perfected immortal burial knight and Feng Zi raised their wine jars as well. The 4 wine jars collided with a crisp sound and they raised their heads to drink. The 4 of them knew that everyone would leave after the jar of strong wine. The heavenly world was vast and the future was murky with dangers lurking everywhere. The 4 of them might not even have the chance to meet again in the future. The 4 of them did not stop until they finished the jar of strong wine in one gulp. Under normal circumstances, given Su Zimo's cultivation, ordinary wine would not make him feel drunk at all. However, after drinking that jar of strong wine, Su Zimo felt his cheeks flush and his head spin. At the side, Feng Zi could no longer hold on. Her cheeks were flushed red and she swayed. Ha 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 ha. The Thunder Emperor burst into laughter and praised Su Zimo, you're not drunk after drinking this jar of wine. As expected of the Green Lotus bloodline. This strong wine in perfected immortal burial knight's collection was not ordinary wine. Even with their cultivation realms, they would feel tipsy drinking that wine. Brother Su. The Thunder Emperor patted Su Zimo heavily on the shoulder and said with a fake smile, we can be on the same level, but you can't take advantage of my granddaughter. Things between you two will depend on yourselves. Su Zimo had a feeling that there was a deeper meaning in the Thunder Emperor's words and gaze. However, he was a little dizzy and could not think too much about it. He merely said instinctively, "Of course. Time to go." The Thunder Emperor took a deep breath of air and his eyes regained clarity. Standing on the mountain peak, he looked back at the rivers and mountains beneath his feet and said sternly, "One day, I, Feng Cantian, will step foot on this land openly." With that said, a bolt of lightning flashed on the Thunder Emperor's body and he fled into the distance, disappearing at the end of the horizon in the blink of an eye. Standing on the peak, Su Zimo's green lotus bloodline surged continuously and he gradually woke up from the gentle breeze. "What are your plans?" Perfected Immortal Burial Knight asked, "Do you want to join us?" Su Zimo thought for a moment and shook his head. "I don't think so. I've experienced too much in the past year. I'm prepared to find a place to cultivate in seclusion." "That's good too." Perfected Immortal Burial Knight nodded and instructed, "Be careful not to expose your identity. Also, try not to use your tripod in the future." "Thank you for your reminder, Senior." Su Zimo expressed his thanks. Perfected Immortal Burial Knight handed over a pitch-black badge that was 2 fingers wide with a dagger surrounded by lightning drawn on it. "This is a badge. If you see the same emblem anywhere, you can find anyone from Remnant Knight." Su Zimo received the badge and expressed his thanks once more. Perfected Immortal Burial Knight nodded and supported Feng Zi, who was still drunk, disappearing into the void. Su Zimo did not linger at the peak and headed down. Suddenly, a gigantic crack appeared in midair of the soaring Dragon Mountain range, revealing a dark tunnel within. A figure strode out with one hand behind his back. He had a calm expression and every single move he made exuded the aura of a royal aristocratic family. His eyes were like gems in the depths of the sea, deep and mysterious. The heir of King Jin, King Ungshi. Arriving above the soaring Dragon Mountain range, the heir of King Jin looked at the dilapidated battlefield and the corpse of the naked burly man with a cold expression. "Yuanzhua, Jingyu." Suddenly, the heir of King Jin spoke and asked coldly, "Are you guys still alive?" Although the voice of the heir of King Jin was not loud, it could extend endlessly and spread for thousands of kilometers. Prince Yuanzhua and Perfected Immortal Jingyu, who were escaping, shuddered and heard the sound of the heir of King Jin in their minds at the same time. Pust. A voice transmission technique that spanned thousands of kilometers. The two of them shuddered and did not dare to hesitate. They turned around hurriedly and headed towards the soaring Dragon Mountain range. Before long, the two of them arrived at the mountain range. At the same time, another spatial tunnel opened up in midair on the other side and King Tianqing walked out with a cold expression and a murderous aura. "Where is he?" King Tianqing asked in a deep voice. "Where is he?" The heir of King Jin was expressionless and no one could read his emotions. He merely looked at Prince Yuanzhua and Perfected Immortal Jingyu calmly and asked softly. However, Prince Yuanzhua and Perfected Immortal Jingyu could not withstand the pressure and knelt down with a thud. Elder brother, please forgive me." Prince Yuanzhua could flaunt and boss around in front of others. However, he was as honest as a child in front of the heir of King Jin. Prince Yuanzhua knew his brother's methods the best. "I had already planned everything and could definitely suppress Feng Cantian. But who knew that Su Zimo would appear?" Before Prince Yuanzhua could explain, he was interrupted by the heir of King Jin. "Where is he?" The heir of King Jin merely repeated his words and his voice turned increasingly gentle. Instantly, Prince Yuanzhua broke out in cold sweat. Chapter 2041, Wanted Notice. Chapter 2041, Wanted Notice. He escaped. Prince Yuanzhua's voice was trembling and he was drenched in sweat, not daring to look up at the heir of King Jin. "Very good." The heir of King Jin nodded slightly and looked at Prince Yuanzhua before asking, "You should know who Feng Cantian is, right? Why yes. Prince Yuanzhua nodded. You should know how much of an impact Feng Xantian's escape has on the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom, right? The heir of King Jin asked again. His tone was calm and emotionless. I do. Prince Yuanzhua gulped. Pausing for a moment, the gaze of the heir of King Jin suddenly turned incomparably sharp, like a sharp knife that could pierce Prince Yuanzhua's chest. Since you know everything, why didn't you inform me beforehand about this? There was a shuddering power in the voice of the heir of King Jin. I. Prince Yuanzhua's face was pale as a sheet as his body trembled. He raised his head and tried his best to explain. Feng Xantian was already severely injured. I wanted to suppress him before handing him over to you. Nonsense. Suddenly, the heir of King Jin hollered and waved his sleeves, causing an invisible force to collide heavily against Prince Yuanzhua through the void. Bang! Prince Yuanzhua was sent flying by that attack and fell dozens of feet away. He spat out a mouthful of blood and sprawled on the ground like a dead dog. That attack from the heir of King Jin had broken more than half of his bones. He nearly fainted from the pain. Yuanzhua, even in front of me, you're still spouting nonsense. The heir of King Jin said coldly with an icy expression, you just want to fight for credit. You want to perform in front of father. You want to suppress me. What sort of a character was the heir of King Jin? Initially, he was ranked 7th among the many descendants. However, because of his ruthless methods, decisiveness, and extraordinary endowment, he rose step by step. The 6 older brothers in front of him died for various reasons and King Ungshi was now the current heir. Everyone in the royal family knew that the death of the 6 princes was definitely related to King Ungshi. However, King Jin merely turned a blind eye to this matter. King Jin had many descendants and he was even happy to see such a situation. That was the only way a truly ruthless person could stand out from the many princes and inherit his throne and endless territory. The heir of King Jin had experienced too much bloodshed and Prince Yuanzhua's thoughts could not be hidden from him. Elder brother, please spare me. Please spare my life. Prince Yuanzhua crawled bit by bit in the direction of the heir of King Jin, coughing blood and begging for mercy in a miserable manner. King Tianqing stood at the side expressionlessly with his hands behind his back. He had seen too many fights between princes. He was only loyal to King Jin and would definitely not interfere. There was no pity in the eyes of the heir of King Jin when he saw Prince Yuanzhua's pitiful appearance. Bloodline and kinship did not matter to him. Furthermore, they were only half-brothers with different mothers. I can understand why you want to take credit and stand out. The heir of King Jin said coldly, however, you should know your limits. Elder brother, I know my mistake now. More than half of Prince Yuanzhua's bones were shattered as he crawled on the ground. He was covered in dust and looked wretched. His bloodline could not recover within a short period of time after the attack of the heir of King Jin. More than a year ago, when Feng Xantian escaped from Absolute Thunder City under your jurisdiction, I did not punish you. The heir of King Jin continued, to think that you would still dare to act on your own and commit such a huge mistake. Perfected Immortal Jingyu glanced at Prince Yuanzhua at the side and sighed internally. He knew that if he did not stand out and say something, the heir of King Jin would vent his anger on him as well and he might even die here. Your Highness, please allow me to say a few words. Perfected Immortal Jingyu said in a deep voice. His Highness Yuanzhua's preparations this time round were indeed foolproof. He even invited perfected Immortal Fei Yun of Imperial Wind Temple to deal with Feng Xantian. In reality, Feng Xantian was severely injured by you and King Tianqing and was indeed vulnerable. He could not defend against our encirclement. Unexpectedly, Perfected Immortal Jingyu recounted in detail how Su Zimo offered the 7 glow Immortal Ginseng as well as the appearance of Perfected Immortal Burial Night. That was what happened. Your Highness, please let us off and allow us to atone for our sins. Perfected Immortal Jingyu kowtowed and begged. The gaze of the heir of King Jin shifted between Perfected Immortal Jingyu and Prince Yuanzhua in silence. the world fell into a dead silence. For Prince Yuanzhua and perfected immortal Jingyu, every single breath felt as long as 1,000 years. Their lives depended on a single thought from the heir of King Jin. Scram. The heir of King Jin said indifferently, "From now on, I don't want to hear any news of Remnant Knight within the territory of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom." Definitely, definitely. Prince Yuanzhua was overjoyed. He knew that since the heir of King Jin said that, his life was saved. "Thank you, Your Highness." Perfected immortal Jingyu kowtowed once more and said, "From now on, I'll definitely do my best to repay Your Highness for not killing me." King Tianqing watched coldly from the sidelines in silence but nodded to himself. The reason why the heir of King Jin did not kill Prince Yuanzhua was because the latter was of no threat to him. After today's incident, Prince Yuanzhua would not dare to harbor any other thoughts in front of him. What the heir of King Jin did even manage to take perfected immortal Jingyu under his wing. When King Tianqing saw that the matter was over, he said slowly, "Your Highness, let's chase after Feng Cantian first. After obtaining the 7 glow immortal ginseng, Feng Cantian's injuries will recover as long as he recuperates for a period of time. At that time, it won't be easy to encircle him. Let's go." The heir of King Jin nodded and waved his palm, slashing in front of him. The void in front of the heir of King Jin was torn by his palm like a piece of silk, revealing a dark spatial tunnel. The heir of King Jin disappeared in a flash. King Tianqing followed closely behind. The crack in midair healed slowly and the terrifying might that lingered in the skies of the soaring Dragon Mountain range dissipated as well. Perfected immortal Jingyu heaved a sigh of relief. A gentle breeze blew and his body turned cold. Unknowingly, his clothes were drenched in sweat. "Your Highness, how are you?" Perfected immortal Jingyu hurried forward and helped Prince Yuanzhua up. He took out a few pills and fed him. Prince Yuanzhua's expression was extremely grim and his eyes were filled with endless hatred. Gritting his teeth, he said, "Jingyu, gather all the forces in Green Cloud County and search for Remnant Knight survivors. Kill them without mercy. The most important thing is to search for Su Zimo. The hatred in my heart won't be appeased until I tear him into pieces and burn his bones into ashes." Prince Yuanzhua had a menacing expression and grit his teeth so tightly that they were about to shatter. "There's more." Prince Yuanzhua continued, "Send this wanted notice to the other counties and get them to help search as well. I want Su Zimo to have no place to hide in the territory of the Great Jin dynasty. Anyone who provides clues will be rewarded handsomely. Even if you have to dig underground, find him." Chapter 2042, Astral Sect. Chapter 2042, Astral Sect. After Su Zimo left the mountain, he was in no hurry to leave. Instead, he made use of the Trinity Auspicious Jade to change his appearance. Prince Yuanzhua and perfected immortal Jingyu were not dead and would definitely not let things go. Given Prince Yuanzhua's power and status, he would definitely take revenge on Su Zimo fanatically. If he were to walk with his true appearance, he would definitely be targeted. After pondering for a moment, Su Zimo turned into an ugly burly man. He had a majestic figure and wore rough linen clothes. His chest was half exposed and he held a wine jar in his hands with half-opened eyes. Su Zimo took a few wobbly steps. When he felt that there were no loopholes, he headed towards Sanyu City, which was the closest to this place. There were more than 100 cities under the jurisdiction of Solar Luna County. Every city ruled over a large territory. Although he was the closest to Sanyu City, Su Zimo took more than 3 days to arrive at the city. Carrying the wine jar, Su Zimo glanced at the city gate drowsily and staggered in. When the guards guarding the city gate saw the detestable burly man who reeked of wine, they revealed disgusted expressions and refused to take another look. The guards on both sides waved casually and let Su Zimo enter the city. Su Zimo was secretly delighted. This was also the reason why he had transformed. The more disgusted others were, the less they would pay attention to him. Su Zimo did not wander around the city. Instead, he headed straight for the teleportation formation. He had to leave the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom as soon as possible. Although he had the Trinity Auspicious Jade, this treasure might not be able to protect him completely. He would only be truly safe after leaving the territory of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom. The territory of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom was vast. Given his cultivation, if he wanted to travel alone, even if there were no obstacles, it would take him hundreds or even thousands of years while traveling day and night. Furthermore, he was alone and did not know what dangers he would encounter on the way. Those hundreds or thousands of years would be wasted. Using the teleportation formation to leave was the fastest. About 2 hours later, Su Zimo crossed most of the city and arrived at the teleportation formation. A large crowd gathered at the front and blocked the entrance of the teleportation formation hall, causing a commotion. From afar, Su Zimo saw dozens of guards guarding the entrance of the hall, scrutinizing every cultivator who wanted to enter. The dozens of guards were all Earth Immortals. Behind the dozens of people, 2 people sat on chairs and surveyed the crowd with burning gazes and terrifying auras. There was a high chance that the 2 of them were Heaven Immortal experts. What's going on? Why did it suddenly become so strict? Haven't you heard? Something big happened in Green Cloud County. What happened? I heard that Supreme Perfected Immortal Feng Cantillon from more than 400,000 years ago escaped from the 10 Absolute Hell with the help of his surviving followers, and his whereabouts are unknown. Right now, they're all searching for those surviving followers. Someone at the side whispered, I also heard that a clone that Prince Yuanzhua of Green Cloud County painstakingly cultivated was crippled by someone called Su Zimo and he suffered a huge loss. That's right. It said that anyone who can provide clues to Su Zimo will be rewarded handsomely. A series of trivial discussions broke out from the crowd at the front. Su Zimo blinked. To think that news would spread so quickly. He was still a step too late. What's happening at the front? Why were some Grade 1 Earth Immortals brought to the 2 Heaven Immortal experts alone for another check? Someone asked softly. Su Zimo focused his gaze. In the crowd, any Grade 1 Earth Immortal would be singled out by the guards on both sides of the hall. The 2 Heaven Immortal experts searched the Grade 1 Earth Immortal storage bag before asking the latter's essence spirit to leave his body. Su Zimo frowned slightly and his ears twitched. Before long, he heard a few conversations. What are we doing? Why are we targeting these Grade 1 Earth Immortals? It's said that Su Zimo is a Grade 1 Earth Immortal. However, this person knows myriad transformations and can change his appearance. How is that possible? Myriad transformations is a supreme divine power. I'm not sure. However, even myriad transformations can only change one's body and not their essence spirit. Therefore, as long as one reveals their essence spirit, they will know if this person was transformed by Su Zimo. With a grim expression, Su Zimo retreated silently from the crowd. The situation was bad. Initially, he wanted to make use of the Trinity Auspicious Jade to change his appearance and leave. But now that the surroundings of the teleportation formation were so carefully checked, if he went forward, he would reveal his true form even with the Trinity Auspicious Jade. This plan could not work. Su Zimo did not dare to take the risk and was prepared to leave Sangyu City for the time being. According to the situation, there was a high chance that the entire city would be under martial law. At that time, it would be difficult for him to escape even if he wanted to. Su Zimo walked towards the city gate. Before long, a group of Sangyu city guards arrived in midair and dispersed. Each of them held a painting in their hands. One of the guards descended not far away from Su Zimo and arrived at the city wall. He opened the painting in his hands and pasted it. The painting depicted a figure in green robes with a handsome face. It was Su Zimo. Beneath the painting were a few lines of words. The general meaning was that anyone who could provide clues about this person would be rewarded handsomely. Su Zimo knew that he had already transformed into another appearance. If no one asked him to reveal his essence spirit, he would not be discovered. However, he still felt guilty when he saw the painting. I can't linger here. When Su Zimo saw the guard beside him turn around and look in his direction, he hurriedly raised his head and drank a mouthful of strong wine. He burped and swayed out of the city. Before long, he disappeared into the crowd. After leaving the city, Su Zimo checked the map and headed east. He walked for 2 days. Along the way, he would see groups of immortal soldiers from the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom passing by from time to time, searching everywhere. Relying on the Trinity Auspicious Jade, Su Zimo changed his appearance and did not encounter any situation where his essence spirit had to be exposed. It was a close shave. However, this situation could not last long either. Su Zimo lamented internally as well. The entire world belonged to the king. He had offended Prince Yuan Zhua, and this was someone from the royal family of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom. As long as he was in this land, there was almost no place for him. Even if he found a mountain range and opened up a cave abode, it would be difficult for him to continue cultivating. Someone would definitely locate him. Right then, in the forest at the side, a few cultivators walked together. They looked like black immortals, 2 grade 9 black immortals, 3 grade 8 black immortals and 2 grade 7 black immortals. Brother Lu, do you think Astral Sect will take us in? Among them, a young cultivator asked. Another older person said in a deep voice, probably. Astral Sect is only a black grade sect. We stand a chance. Astral Sect? Su Zimo murmured softly in deep thought. Chapter 2043, Secret News. Chapter 2043, Secret News. The city lord of Dragon Abyss City, Su Shi, had once told Su Zimo that in the divine firmament immortal domain or even the entire heavenly world, the major sects could be divided into 3 levels. Black, Earth and Heaven grades. There were only 4 heaven grade immortal sects in the divine firmament immortal domain: Mountain Sea Immortal Sect, Imperial Wind Temple, Heaven and Earth Academy and Flying Immortal Sect. Back in the abyss of the Dragon Abyss Star, Su Zimo's essence spirit entered the dragon corpse and reanimated it, interacting with the experts of those sections. The sect masters of heaven grade sects were all immortal kings. Beneath heaven was earth. Sect masters of earth grade sects were usually at the perfected immortal realm. The most common ones were black grade sects where the sect masters were usually heaven immortals. Astral Sect was a black grade sect. Su Zimo thought to himself that rather than hiding outside in fear, he might as well hide in a sect and cultivate. Black grade sects like this were way too common in the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom. Even if Prince Yuanzhua hunted everywhere and came to a black grade sect, he could not search the disciples one by one. The guards of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom guarded the major cities and fortresses and searched everywhere. They were already at their limits. It was impossible for them to run into a black grade sect and search wantonly. At most, they would just pass down a wanted notice. Right now, the most important thing for Su Zimo was to cultivate in seclusion and raise his cultivation realm. When he came out of the essence spirit mine this time round, he entered the 10 absolute hell and the Emperor's tomb. He experienced many battles and witnessed too many experts fight and barely survived along the way. Those comprehension experiences were his most precious experiences. Furthermore, he had already accumulated a large number of spirit pills, essence spirit stones and other cultivation resources in his storage bag casually along the way. He had just broken through to the level 1 Earth Essence realm. As long as he had sufficient resources and time, his cultivation could advance continuously without encountering much obstacles. Most importantly, Su Zimo had benefited way too much in the past year. Breaking through to the Earth Essence realm was secondary. In the 10 Absolute Hell, he obtained the Void Thunder Manual. Although he inherited the Thunder Emperor's inheritance directly and could comprehend many things without even cultivating, there were still some insights that he had to comprehend himself. In the Emperor's tomb, the third wall of the Hell Suppression Tripod was repaired. He had yet to cultivate a secret skill imparted to him by the Black Tortoise Sacred Soul. He did not comprehend the Prajna Nirvana Sutra on the third tripod wall either. There was also the mysterious Trinity Auspicious Jade. This treasure accompanying the green lotus true body had endless uses. Up till now, Su Zimo had only discovered one of those abilities. If he wanted to cultivate and comprehend the secrets within, he would require a long period of seclusion cultivation. The path of cultivation was long. Even if one was lucky and had endless opportunities, those with extraordinary talent could not succeed overnight. Although the grade of astral sect was not high, it was suitable for Su Zimo to lay low and wait for an opportunity. At that thought, Su Zimo carried the wine jar and flew through the air, swaying towards the few people who spoke earlier on. "Hey, those few over there." Before Su Zimo got close, he shouted from afar, exhaling the smell of wine and cursing, "Bloody hell, I'm referring to the few of you." Now that he had changed his appearance, his words and actions had to change as well so that no one would see through him. The few cultivators on the other side looked up and saw an ugly cultivator smelling of wine walking over from afar. All of them revealed disgusted expressions. However, the older cultivator among them had a calm expression and whispered, "This is an earth immortal. Everyone, be careful not to anger him. Greetings, exalted immortal." The older cultivator stood still and bowed to Su Zimo. Although the other young cultivators were unwilling, they bowed as well. Su Zimo glanced at the few people on the ground with an intoxicated expression. With a prideful expression, he burped and asked, "How do I get to astral sect?" A few young cultivators, especially the female cultivator, lowered their heads slightly with disgusted expressions. In fact, they did not even want to look at Su Zimo. The older cultivator smiled and said, "Exalted immortal, follow this path and head east for more than 2,000 kilometers. That's the location of astral sect. There are 7 peaks in astral sect that are the most striking and easy to identify." Bloody hell, I actually got lost. Su Zimo cursed and took another mouthful of strong wine before swaying towards the east. The older cultivator heaved a sigh of relief. Where did this drunkard come from? How disgusting, a young man spat. "Brother Lu, our family clan is rather strong in the vicinity of Tsangyu City. Why should we be afraid of an alcoholic?" a young girl asked. The older cultivator shook his head. "When you travel outside, you must not underestimate anyone. Even though he looks like he's dead drunk, who knows what methods he has and what status he has. All these years, there have always been some aristocratic families in Solar Luna County that would send their talented clansmen to join astral sect. This person might also be from some aristocratic family." Another person asked, "Brother Lu, are the rumors about astral sect true? Is there really a cultivation technique comparable to a taboo mystic classic hidden in this black-grade sect? That saying has been passed down for a long time and I don't know if it's true." The older cultivator said, "It's said that many years ago, an extraterritorial king came to divine firmament mainland and started a massacre. Among the immortal kings, no one was his match. Eventually, an immortal emperor attacked and killed him in that mountain range. Thereafter, the terrain of the mountain range changed and 7 mountain peaks rose against the tide, reaching the skies. The surrounding mountains rose and formed the current astral sect. Ever since then, there have been all sorts of legends in the divine firmament immortal domain. The most widely spread one was that the extraterritorial king died and left his inheritance in that mountain range. Some people said that it was a cultivation technique called the exalted mystic spirit. I can't remember its name either." Everyone behind him was engrossed and someone asked, "What happened after that?" The older cultivator smiled. Later on, many cultivators came to this mountain range, wanting to inherit the inheritance of this extraterritorial king and search for that ethereal cultivation technique. I heard that in the beginning, cultivators from the divine firmament immortal domain, 9 firmament immortal domain, even the pure land of bliss and fiend domain came to obtain this opportunity. However, in the end, they returned empty-handed. Some people were unwilling to leave and guarded that mountain range all day long. Later on, they gradually developed into a sect and became the current astral sect. When astral sect was first established, there were even perfected immortals presiding over it. However, as time passed by and the first generation aged without anyone obtaining any opportunities, the number of cultivators that came to Astral Sect decreased. Up till now, only some aristocratic families in our Solar Luna County will send some disciples over. Actually, we don't bear much hope. Just take it as a training expedition. Everyone sighed when they heard that. The older cultivator shrugged his shoulders and shook his head with a smile. Actually, those are just rumors. I even heard that the king who died back then did not come from another territory, but another world instead. Another world? Everyone was stunned. The older cultivator said, "He's not someone from our heavenly world, but a king of another world." You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.